Welcome to Your Music Saved Us, where two friends blast ourselves into the past to relive and recontextualize the alternative Christian music we grew up listening to in the 1990s. My name is Jay, and I'll be your host for today. And with me is someone who doesn't really move, but he's having fun, Clifton. Clifton, how are you?
Moving.
And he is, everybody, you can't see the video, but he is moving, so this is a good sign. And we also have a very special guest host with us today. And I'll tell you, acting like a goof just isn't his style. Zach, how are you today?
I am bristling at the untruths you just told because acting like a goof is the only thing I'm good at in my life.
Well, Zach, you're one of the co-hosts of Jesus Stole Our Movies with Donovan, who we've had on before, and I think people know who he is. But tell us a little bit about that podcast. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Plug things, whatever you want to do.
We, on Jesus Stole Our Movies, watch and talk about the movies we were not allowed to watch as kids because of very strict religious environments we grew up in. Because it's always fun in a conversation to say to somebody like, oh yeah, I wasn't even allowed to watch Pokemon when I was a kid. And then all like their eyes get really big and they're like, no way. Like, yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch Rugrats when I was a kid because one of the Rugrats was too rebellious, and rebellion is the same thing as witchcraft according to the Bible. You don't want to be a witch, do you? You know, stuff like that. And me and Donovan got to talking about it. And we both realized that it happened to us and it happens to a lot of other people because of these like restrictive church environments we were in as kids. And so we decided to do a podcast where we watch the movies we weren't allowed to watch as kids. And we'll go through like the Dove Organization website, movie guide, some like Christian thought about certain things, about why these movies shouldn't be allowed to be seen by children. There was some fun stuff about Ninja Turtles that we found out. The Phil Phillips, the Turmoil in the Toy Box guy, the lady that actually wrote his books that he stole all her work and claimed as his own, which is called ghostwriting, which is completely fine in the publishing industry, whatever. I hope she got paid.
I think if you get paid, it's fine.
Churches and volunteer labor, right?
Oh, God, yeah, that drives me crazy.
That lady wrote a book about, like, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles exposed and how, like, evil and devilish the turtles are. And there's another one she wrote about Power Rangers, and we already talked about the first Power Rangers movie. We're going to talk about the second and go over that book because I didn't know that book existed. But yeah, we watch movies we weren't allowed to watch as kids or had an interest in watching. They're like horror movies make several appearances. We have unfortunately had to watch a lot of children's films, which I get kind of annoyed with having to watch kids' films over and over and over again. We've covered Fern Gully. We've covered Jason Goes to Hell. We did Pokemon, Power Rangers, like stuff that, has the devil in it, like Power Rangers.
I loved Fern Gully when I was a kid, and there is a devil in it because it's about saving plants.
And self-actualization, and that you as a person have value in the world and you're not just filthy rags.
Yeah. Unchristian.
And those things were like cultural touchstones in a way. And so you would assume if you meet somebody else that's your age, that they would be able to know what you're talking about if they reference that. And I think we can relate to that with music sometimes too, right? Somebody references some band and you're like, I don't know. I was only listening to Christian music. Or the same. I wasn't allowed to watch those movies, so no, I don't know about Pokemon. Yeah.
And we have silly goofs, and we're very, very liberal with our joking about things. So it's not super serious, and we don't get into the weeds. Like, it's not a very serious podcast. We just watch silly movies and make funny voices and goof on each other. Instead of like really, there's been a couple of episodes where we've really gotten into the weeds of like, why in the hell would anyone say this is bad? Like we did an episode with another podcast that watches the that youth group fake Saturday Night Live show. Fire
Fire
by
in the
Night.
Night. Yeah.
And we did The Matrix with them. And we went through The Matrix and we're like talking about how appropriated it was by the church and like the level of like actual appropriation that happened from this very clear trans narrative to make it all about Jesus and shit. It was a very interesting episode. We got really into the weeds on that one, but most of the time we goof around because it's me and Donovan. When we have other people on, it's more serious.
Okay.
Nice. Well, we are here to listen to something. Clifton, do you want to tell us what are we listening to?
We're listening to, I think it's from 1998, the self-titled album by the band Buck.
Later known as Buck Enterprises, but
Yeah.
one of you will hopefully explain that to me
Yeah.
in a
Well,
minute.
sure. I'll explain it to you. Yeah.
Was this easy to find?
God, no. It's available on YouTube as a playlist, and that's about it, I think.
Yeah, I was annoyed. I would much prefer to use Spotify or something to listen to it. So,
But
if you want to hear it, it's out there, y'all, but it's not as easy. Okay, question for both of you, Zach, Clifton, jump in. Was this played in youth group?
This may have been played in my youth group, but I think I was too young to have experienced it because I'm a little bit younger than you guys.
Yeah.
The reason I know about this record, and I probably shouldn't say this,
Do it.
Dirty Rotten Pagan, but I may or may not have stolen this record out of my youth group CD book when I was a small little teen punk that thought I was rebellious and shit, even though I was still listening to like Christian ska punk bands. So in like, there was, of course, Supertones, Five Iron, and Insiders, right?
Uh-huh.
The big three of Christian ska. And they were in the CD book of the youth group, along with this, and I think the Skanktified compilation
Sure.
was also in there. And for some reason, it didn't get played when I was in the youth group because I'm a little bit younger, but like, I may or may not have, slipped this into my pocket when I was in the back of the youth group. Also, don't let your punk rock friends join the praise band and like, because they might walk away with an entire PA from the church, and then you'll feel really bad about it for 20 years, but whatever.
Only so bad about it.
Okay, so there was a good chance it was played in youth group prior to it disappearing, for sure, we can say.
Mysterious disappearance.
Right. Got it.
I have stolen exactly 3 things in my entire life. One, I really needed allergy medicine. The other time, I think it was when I was a little kid and I stole a piece of bubble gum and I had to get publicly shamed, as you do as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one was taking these weird ska punk records out of my church CD book, which I have no idea why I guess I'm just like punk steal shit. Cool.
Did you take just the CD or were like the books in there too?
The pamphlets were in there.
Yeah.
But like not the jewel cases.
Sure. Well, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Either of you, curious too, your thoughts. Are we getting preached at on this album?
So I read some. I had to go to Reddit a lot for researching this because there's no information about Buck anywhere. And several people on Reddit were like, these guys are just straightforward with their lyrics. They're not telling you how to believe. They're just telling you this is how I believe. That's bullshit.
Bullshit.
We're getting preached at.
This is ham-fisted in a way that like makes other Christian contemporary music seem subtle.
Yes.
And the first song we're going to talk about is like, hey, fuck you, shut up. I know what's right for you. And it's like, okay, dude, it's the first song on the record. Pump the brakes, dude.
Yeah. Bad choice.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it, Zach. I felt like this was like if the leaders of Vacation Bible School formed a ska band. This kind of feels like that. Okay, well, I want to remind everyone to visit patreon.com/YMSU to contribute to get extended episodes. We just did an episode with Chaz from Excommunication Station talking about Michael Tate and all the stuff that's still blowing up with all the accusations around him. So if you want to hear more about that, you're welcome to go on over there and check that out. But without further ado, Clifton, can you tell us a little bit more about Buck?
Absolutely. Buck was a Christian ska band formed mostly out of Livonia, Michigan. They produced 2 independent albums before signing to Tattoo Records sometime in 1998.
Is that all?
That's it.
Oh,
That's all I could find.
okay.
Okay, I got one more thing. And seriously, I spent a while on this. I searched like every different. Anyways, okay. Their name, Buck, is supposedly an acronym for Building Up Christ's Kingdom. But that is contested by a former member of the band who posted on Reddit. He said, quote, also the acronym thing was made up later. If I recall correctly, Buck came from the name the lead singer chose for himself in German class.
Hold on. You're telling me this guy that looks like an Aryan's wet dream
Yep, that one.
took his band's name from his German class nickname? Holy shit. Like, oh my God, you sent me the pictures of this record. I'm just like, this dude looks like he, has an armband and a brown shirt and he's just ready to go.
Yeah.
On the
I
weekend.
know. Before I started researching everything, I wrote in my notes, if one of these guys didn't make up a cop, I'll lick a shoe.
I think I texted you earlier. I was like, how much you want to bet that at least one of these guys ended up on the Capitol on January 6th?
They're one of the ones using the American flag to bash a cop's head in, yeah.
Jesus.
Okay, I do have the members of the band.
Thank you. So you do have a little bit more. Thank you, Clifton.
All right, members of the band are Dan Reynolds. This is the Buck guy, I guess. Dan Reynolds on vocals and trombone. Josh Wheeler on guitar and vocals. Rick Jacoby on bass and vocals. Mark, quote, Floyd Falstrom on trombone. Dave Reynolds on trumpet. And Al Brown on cornet, which I think is... There's also an Al Brown on the Insider's first album playing cornet. So...
I mean,
maybe
seems
same
reasonable
guy.
from the same area.
Yeah, same place. Yeah.
You mentioned cornet, and that kind of helps establish why their horn sound is so shrill at some points. Because, it's turn down the trumpets just a little bit.
A little bit.
Just a little bit, guys. And like, I don't know. We'll talk about that in a minute.
I wrote shrieking over and over again.
Shrieking, yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny you should say they're from Michigan because this record has SoCal fingerprints all over it.
Right.
Like, we can talk about how derivative Third Wave Ska is of itself, and it kind of ate itself like a horrible checkered Ouroboros that didn't understand what it was supposed to be. But this record is so unbelievably derivative that I sat down and I listened to these songs and compared them because I am somewhat of a ska guy. Like, this is my favorite type of shit. It's like ska, punk, hardcore, and like psychobilly is really like my favorite type of stuff. And listening to this record, I was just like, oh no, this is somebody else's horn part that they just took and changed the end of. Like, it's one of the songs is directly a horn part from a Mustard Plug song. And some of the songs we're going to talk about kind of have their own voice, but they kind of are very, very derivative of other people's music.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting that they're from Michigan because, like, if I were to make a guess, I would have thought these guys were from Southern California.
I mean, reasonable because weren't they all, So there was another Redditor so the reason I found something about this on Reddit is because someone literally posted like, "Hey, I found this CD for $1.99 in the used bin at my local record store. Can anyone tell me anything about it?" And people posted all kinds of things, but my favorite was a lot of them were just something exactly like this: was really mediocre Christian ska, like mediocre in the world of Christian ska, not just ska.
Well, I feel like I can't help but feeling like Christian ska is one of the reasons that people don't take ska seriously as a genre.
It's possible.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Real Big Fish did that shit to all of us. And they kind of just like shit on everybody in that way. But a lot of these bands, like you would talk, even like I think you want to say the only Christian sort of ska band that had its own very distinct voice and very distinct texture that was them and them alone was Five Iron.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
distinctly Five Iron Frenzy, only sounds like Five Iron Frenzy. You can play a Supertones record next to 10 other bands. You can play this song next to 10 other bands. You can play the Insiders next to 20 other bands, and you will get music that sounds very, very similar. I just feel like Christian ska as a genre itself is so unbelievably derivative.
Mhm.
Like a band like the Dingies. I'll take the Dingies for example. Those guys are fucking great. I
Mhm.
didn't even know they had more records than the Armageddon Massive. And I actually got stuck in a hole listening to like old Christian ska because I had to go back to the Skanktified compilation. I had to go back to Scalleluja or whatever it was called. Was it Scalleluja? I don't know. I think that was an Insider's record.
Scalia was 2 Insiders albums
Yep.
of praise music, yes.
So it was Ska Craze.
Yeah.
And like the ones that stuck out is like the Dingies. They have a very specific sound and they
Mhm.
actually make very good solid songs that have catchy choruses. They're not like beating you to death with lyrics that sound like they were culled from like Dr. Seuss. You know what I mean? Or in this case, of the case of this record, a person who seems to be maybe barely literate, I don't know, or has never listened to a punk rock song before. I'm not sure.
Well, Zach, you alluded to how you came in possession of this album, but any memories from back then? Any songs you loved, or just any, anything you remember about Buck from back in the day?
Buck, no. They left no impression. I didn't even remember I may or may not have stolen this, like until you showed me the cover of this record and I started listening to it. Like I can hear some of these songs in the back of my head, but like I found sort of Supertones and Five Iron sort of at the same time when I was maybe at the end of my freshman year in high school. And so from then on, it was like this huge revelation. Like we always talk about representation really, really matters, right?
Mhm.
Who represents a shitty nerd from suburbia that's in the marching band more than a weird ska band?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True.
And so like I was trying to get my hands on anything that had horns in it. I would go to the used CD store and just look at the books and see if they had horn sections. I didn't even know who these bands were, and if they had a horn section, I would buy it. Because this record was with Supertones, Insiders, and Five Iron, I kind of rolled that into it. But like, this is so unmemorable and it's so derivative. And I don't want to talk a ton of shit, even though I already have. It's so hard to make a record. It's so hard to write songs. It's so fun to write songs with your friends and be in a band, but making a record kind of sucks. Going on tour really kind of sucks. You have to be a very, very special kind of person to enjoy going on tour and, making that part of your life for a long period of time. It's hard work and they work their ass off and they deserve to be, kind of patted on the back for at least putting more than one record into the world or a record at all. But this left no impression on me. Like, it's so indistinct. There's only one song we're going to listen to together here that has its own voice. Everything else you can just listen to 10 other bands that sound exactly like it. There's one specific song that like got my ears up and I was like, oh wow, this is actually really, really cool.
Man,
They're
don't tell
doing
me now,
something
but
here.
I'm really interested to see which song that's gonna be.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, but don't say it. Yeah.
Yeah, like as I've grown older, like because when you're a teenager, you just want to consume everything that makes you feel a certain type of way.
Yeah.
As I gotten older and like my taste is kind of, I understand what ska music is, what its place in history is, like how much cultural appropriation ska is, and I don't know how familiar you guys are with the genre, but I've never left my ska phase. I've just kind of been able to be more critical and appreciate it more. And this is a band that I would not spend any time listening to or waste minutes on a playlist adding them to because they don't do anything interesting.
I want to jump into the album, but before we do, just two thoughts. One, we're talking about high school a little bit. I kind of think from the photos of these guys, they're basically in high school when they made this, right? Or close.
Yeah, I
I mean,
couldn't
right
find
out of
any
high school.
ages or anyone.
Did you guys have any familiarity with this record at all?
I remember seeing it.
Same. I think I saw it and was like, maybe I decided I was done with ska at that point. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
I think I was a little done with ska at that point. Plus, like, if you look at the cover, in one of the Reddit threads, someone was talking about how the cover looks like bad AI before bad AI was a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, the cover's pretty bad.
Yeah. It's very colorful, but it's just too much.
It's like a ska album for kids or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just
That is how it comes off, yes.
And there's no edginess to it. Like, you get certain records that have a cover that, like, this is different. Like, you guys talked about that Dingy's record, the Armageddon Massive. That looked like it had an air of streetness to it. You know, there was something urban and something a little bit gritty about it. They were obviously trying to replicate, you know, different punk rock covers, different styles of underground art and things like that. But this record was just, I don't know. And one of the guys, I have never left my ska phase, right? We've talked about that. I never left my ska phase, so much so that I was in a ska band, like a shitty Christian ska band.
Nice.
From the years of 2005 to 2011, which are the ultimate.
Years.
What'd you say?
That's the worst years for ska.
Yeah, it's the ultimate dark time for any kind of ska. Like, it's too early to be in the new tone movement. It's too late to be in third wave. It's like ska's completely forgotten genre. But a couple of the guys that were in the band really, really loved Buck, and they would always talk about this record.
Oh,
they never didn't remember that until I heard these songs. I was like, oh, this is that fucking shit ass song he was trying to get me to listen to in the van. This sounds exactly like a Mustard Plug song. Oh no, it doesn't. No, it's different. There's an arpeggio at the end of the horn part instead of. Okay. Change my homework, please.
Before we get into it, can we look at this this post from Facebook here, which has a show flyer from Buck that's posted on their Facebook page. And if you read this, here's the text: Glory Days. Funny thing is, I found this listed under the heading "Crappy Flyers, Outsider Graphic Design" on a website. So someone was making fun of it for being bad graphic design, and it's literally just like some pictures, like in a Word document, maybe like just on top of each other. I don't know. And then
where are they going to be in concert? When are they going to be in concert? Like, guys, you not know how a flyer works?
I know. We made better flyers than this for the shows we put on in college, Jay.
That is true, and that's a low bar.
That's a low bar.
I think your man's is wearing Janko jeans there.
Definitely looks like it.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, but it's just so suburban whiteness. Like, it's just, I don't know.
Oh yeah,
it radiates that energy of mainly because, like, the graphic design says as much as everything else. Just like, I never really had to try anything.
Right. There's no spark of creativity. There's no artistry. There's no, hey, we want this more than fucking anything. That's a lot of the time what is attractive about, like, punk and hardcore and ska music. Like, you love the shit. Like, you don't go to be in a ska band in the darkest time of, like, ska music, or you don't, even that, you're not going to make money. Nobody makes money doing this shit, right?
Yeah.
You love it. You love it. You feel it in your freaking blood. And this just says, oh, yeah, I listened to a Supertones record once. We could do that, too. And they didn't have, like, the Edgar Rice Burroughs moment of, I'm actually really fucking good at this, and I'm going to become the best at doing the shitty thing.
Oh,
They're just kind of mid. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe it was fun. It was probably fun. You know?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they're great to watch live, unless they stand there like idiots.
In fact, a lot of people whose only experience with Buck on Reddit when they were kids, there are a lot of people on Reddit whose only experience with Buck when they were kids said, "Oh, I saw them once live. They were really good."
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, if I heard the first song on this record live, I would have been running around, jumping around, diving on people, skanking it up in the pit.
Speaking of, let's get into it, right?
Let's do it, y'all. So, song number 1, the title, and people are going to roll their eyes, but it's called Truth and Life. So, take us through it, y'all.
All right. So it starts off pretty good. Like, there's actually a pretty good bass line here at the beginning. And then, like any good ska, horns come in, they're strong, they're loud, they honestly have a pretty good melody. And so let's all enjoy that while we can, okay? So here's a little bit. Here's the intro. Done like all the third wave ska things now, right?
Mm-hmm. In my mind's eye, I can visually see how these trombone players are moving on the stage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, they're doing the big arc swing.
Exactly.
The intro's great, right? Like, this is a great way to introduce your record. But then you get blasted to death with these horns that don't have any seeming understanding of dynamic range, and that proves itself throughout the whole record. Like, they're just blasting you to death. There is an old joke about brass players, like that brass players have exactly 2 volumes off and blasting. And
that's
what
the instruments are made for, though, to be fair.
I don't know. You listen to some jazz, you get some really nice... Maybe not a trumpet, but a trombone certainly has a lot of space for dynamic range.
Okay.
But we go straight from this really nice... If you're watching this live, you're moving already. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
There's circle pit bits. You're going to be pogoing to the big horn blasts. But it's so... This one was super, super Real Big Fishy to me.
Yeah.
We're right out of the gate, and I believe there's probably a horn part that is very, very reminiscent of a Real Big Fish. So that da-da-da-da-da, I'm pretty sure that might be... I haven't listened to Real Big Fish in 20 years, so I couldn't tell you. But it's got to be a Real Big Fish sounding thing. And this is the one that sounded very, very Southern California, SoCal ska to me.
Yeah, and as you said, the horns have no dynamics to them, but that doesn't matter yet, right? Because we're only 40 seconds in, right? So you don't need dynamics yet. It's just so far we're fun, right? We're moving, nothing's complicated. The bass line's even pretty simple. It's just like da 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 da. But then it has a really good da 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 on the bass line. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, I get that part. Let's move a little bit. Yeah. All of it's coming together, right? We are in for a fun time.
Sure, a fun time that is just fun and not super awesome fun. Gets really dull really fast.
Yes.
A good way to put it, yeah.
So let's hear why.
You need to see the truth at the end of life. I know the way to truth and life. If you open your ears and shut your mouth, I can show you where to go to fill the void. If you know the Lord my God, you need the way to truth and life.
I mean... We're going to go over the lyrics in a second, but you could hear it right there. And it's also just, I think we'll get to this, Clifton. It's also really bad when you do the second line, second verse.
Yes.
But it's the words just don't fit.
No.
It's just dude, just rewrite it so it flows.
And the chorus is terrible. I can't wait till we get to the chorus. The chorus is... it's very frustrating. You're almost there. Part of the reason you go to a ska punk show or a punk show is you can go to a show of a band you've never seen before, and the mark of a really, really good band is if you can sing along to their songs
Yeah.
at the end
By
of
the
the
end of
show.
it. Yeah.
Right.
And this is not that, because the shit does not work. This whole song felt to me like he wrote the lyrics right after the God-shaped hole sermon at church. That's the whole thing.
And we'll get to the lyrics in a minute, but yeah. But even just the vocals, they're so inoffensive. They're just... I think this is the guy who like led worship on Wednesday evenings at youth group.
Maybe.
You know, it's, I don't know. They're just, there's like 2 moments in the entire album that I listened to where he gets close to edginess.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of it's just like, you need to see the truth and the light. I know the way to the truth and the life. I'll open your ears, shut your mouth. Like,
Like, bust your gut, dude. You don't sound like you have the passion.
no, he doesn't have any passion.
No, none. And he sounds like he burnt his mouth on a grilled cheese sandwich really, really bad minutes before recording. So
Probably did.
it's so lackluster. And like in the first song, you can be like, forgive it. You're like, okay, we're moving. But by song 5, you're like, all right, dude, let's do something new. Let's get some flavor. This is the most white bread mayonnaise ass. Like, this is the ultimate nadir of what ska music became, I would imagine. Like something like this or Insiders. It's just,
I'm probably, both of you are gonna be like, you're wrong, Jay, but I am gonna say I thought this was better than Frito Boat.
oh yeah.
They're
Definitely.
better than Freeboat, yes.
Okay, all right, okay. We've established that, and I'm gonna also say one other thing is I do kind of like some of the horn parts on this album, and I feel like the problem is, as you've alluded to, the chorus. Like on almost every song, I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing all right, and then we get to the chorus, I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
So I have this note later in the album, but I kept, when I was typing up the things, and I'm like, okay, here's this part of the song, here's this part of the song, I kept typing pre-chorus, thinking that there was something catchier coming,
Yes.
and it never came.
He's
It's like, oh, no, that was just a chorus.
beareth a mark, just barely not there. Add a whoa part. What's the easiest fucking thing in ska punk to do? Is just go whoa at the end of a song.
Yep,
You have
that would
people.
have helped.
Let's go.
That's
or
true.
any back. You know what I didn't notice? Does anything on this record? Maybe the last song we're going to talk about does. But there's kind of a lack of backing vocals anywhere here.
So on my little program, can you see my screen here? There is a couple little bups in the chorus where we're going to hear some backing vocals, but they are kind of just like that though. They're just like, kind of things, you know. Let's move on to the chorus though, so we can make fun of it. Oh, I do want to stop there and say that the distorted guitar is gross. Like it's funny that you bring up the burned his mouth on a grilled cheese thing, because when I was writing my notes, I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure that's the Dan Electro grilled cheese distortion, which is just like this like $12.99 guitar pedal that you could buy, you know, back in the 90s. Like made out of plastic, you know, that sounded like, you know, whatever. But a lot of bands in the 90s, honestly, like small bands, made this mistake where they would like have this go from this like really clean guitar to this just like kind of distorted guitar, and it's kind of gross.
Jesus is the only way, He's the only truth and life. To joy beyond compare. You open your ears and open your heart. Only He can fill your empty heart. Only He can make you whole.
Yeah.
Not memorable.
Only He can make you whole. As the person who typed up all the lyrics, every fucking line of this entire album has like the same rhythm to it. Like,
Yeah.
and he just makes them fit in the song where he wants them to. After that, we kind of go into like kind of repeating that intro section. And once again, I think the bass line there is good. I think the kind of the you know, upbeat guitar is honestly well executed. And that's the thing about this. A lot of things are well executed on this album. But, you know, it's all well performed, but it's just, like you said, there's no passion behind it, which makes it just aggressively mediocre.
Aggressively.
Yeah.
And like in the way that it kind of bums me out. Like this is why there were 250 ska bands in the 90s, and now still touring there are maybe 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because only maybe 5 or 6 people really excelled and put their own fingerprints on it.
And
But
isn't
like
it kind
newer
of,
bands, there's tons of newer ska bands that do something very, very different with the same. Okay, perfect example, right? It's just like genre fiction. There's a lot of beats that we hit. And I call this, I don't know if anybody else refers to it like this, but like it's like having toys in a sandbox, right? All the toys in your sandbox are the same. You have the upstrokes, you have the horn part, you have, you know, a chorus that should engage people, which, you know, it's all really how you use the toys in the sandbox.
paintbrushes.
It's just like the difference between a video game like Uncharted and something like Indiana Jones. Those two use the very, very same toys in that adventure fiction sandbox, but they do it differently in a way. These guys saw how everybody else were using their toys in the ska sandbox, and they just kind of did that.
Yeah.
But didn't it? I don't know. It's just flavorless.
And what I find fascinating about this as a 90s thing is that in the 90s, we had grunge, we have the renaissance of punk and pop punk, and we had ska. And of the 3 of those, two of those are like, everyone and their dog should have been like, I can probably strum a fucking guitar. Let's make some fucking grunge, or let's make some fucking punk. But the one that got people off their asses was the one that took talent.
Yeah.
Was ska.
I have a confession. So I was never in a band. I always wanted to be. And in high school, I somehow just thought if I got a kid who could play guitar, I don't remember if we had a bassist, but a bunch of horn players together that I knew from our marching band, that we would form a ska band. It did not work.
Yeah.
I think we all just got in a room and looked at each other, and I realized the guitar
we
player
do?
didn't know how to do the upbeats, and it was just like, yeah.
It ruins the whole thing. There's it's a very specific set of tones. It's
Yes.
a very specific rhythm. It only works. Like, that's why Frito Boat didn't work, right? Because they didn't actually do it right. What are you doing? They actually do the upstroke thing. And these guys are doing
Yes.
California replication ska parts. And I'm sure if they're from Michigan and they're making music around 97, 98, they've seen Mustard Plug in concert. They've seen Suicide Machines. They're touring around there all the time at this point.
Yeah.
Like, you're just doing what you see. And holy shit, where was I going? Got
Band.
lost.
Being in a band.
Not original.
Yeah. It seems like these guys were pulling their influences just from the ska punk stuff
Mhm.
and not from anything earlier, not from any roots. Like,
Right.
if you were to ask any of these guys, would they say that they were real big fans of the Toasters? Were they into the Specials at all? Did they even know anything about the Scatolites or the first iteration of first wave ska that was actually from Jamaica? Maybe not. Maybe they have like a tangential relationship with it, but this is what happens when you don't have knowledge of the roots of your genre.
Although to be more to be a little bit easier on them, being from, you know, Cultural Void suburbia,
Yeah.
where are you going to find that shit? Like, how do you even know?
Especially in the 90s.
When I was into ska in the 90s, I didn't know it was a third wave.
Yeah. And especially a Christian kid.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I was in a punk band in high school, and we had a ska song that we thought about adding a horn to. Okay. And we know several people who were in marching band, and we talked to many of them about coming to do something for the band. And one, I think one of them was finally interested, and we got over there, and he's like, "What do you want me to play?" And we played the song for him. Like, your part could go something like this, like, and we hummed it, kind of thing, And he's like, "No, like, do you have sheet music for me?"
No, dude, we don't.
That's tragic.
Okay.
Tragic.
Yeah.
Just fucking feel it, man. Let's go. That's part of the
I
fun.
know, right?
I actually, the Christian ska band I was in, I got kicked out because I couldn't read sheet music. And I was in
Interesting.
band all the way from 5th grade. I just could never figure out how to read sheet music. I just listened and could play, just could play the song based on like what I was hearing. And, but they were like, well, we can't really, get what we want out of you because you can't read it off of a sheet. I'm like, well, that's not kind of the point.
Wait, so they wrote sheet music for their songs?
They tried to write sheet music specifically for the horn parts, because the guy that was doing the trumpet stuff was, he was a marching band guy, which ska band, you're going to have marching band people.
Sure. Yeah.
But what, didn't you send us the video of this song specifically? Was it this song?
No, it's Samaritan.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're actually in marching band uniforms playing with a marching band.
Yep.
Like, you have eaten your own tail. You are now a parody of yourself. Like, that is the indictment that any ska band will get. Like, oh, they're just marching band kids that wanted to play in a band.
Yeah, that's the parody of it, but yeah, okay. All right, so eventually there's a third verse that is a little bit different musically, I guess. And then
Money in the bank, big house and car. When there's trouble, go to a bar. Tell yourself ever among, live your life away. No one else to answer to, there is another way.
what was that? Is this psychedelic ska? What the fuck are we doing here?
Okay, I have a theory. First of all, and I sent this to you guys. You notice they don't actually have a drummer, right?
Yeah, right.
Like the guy that is drumming is Mark Nash, who produced it, who was the drummer in PFR of all bands. So there's that. So it leads me to believe they did a lot of stuff in the studio, and I think they were probably like, "Oh, we need to do something fun here. Oh, we'll do a fade out and some weird effects, and then bring it back in." And we have that on another song or two that we're going to go over, and It's like, so I think it was just, we're going to mess with stuff in the studio and try to make something bad better, but not.
It's at least a little texture.
Yeah.
Not that they pulled it off very well, but like, it's something other than just first chorus, ill-conceived bridge, blatty, blatty, blatty horn part that makes my ears want to bleed.
Well, it is what it is, but then he went, wait.
That was the dub influence coming in.
I see. They got the roots in there. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
And you were doubting their historical knowledge. All right. I do want to listen to the very last few seconds of the song here.
Only he can make you. Jesus is the only way. He's the only truth and life.
Because for some reason they decided to end it with feedback?
No, why not?
Because they forgot to put any balls in the song. They were like, we'll just end it with feedback, and then they'll know they'll know how punk rock we are.
Yeah, we're so fucking cool, you guys, with our feedback.
All right.
I just feel like I don't want to talk shit about somebody's appearance.
Yeah, I know.
But like, this dude looks so fucking vanilla. You could imagine seeing him on stage. Like, there's all this energy to the music. It's an energetic subgenre of music.
Yes.
Right? This dude's probably standing there looking lost. With like no stage presence, no movement. I don't know. It doesn't feel like he's busting his guts out. You want to, when you hear like ska and punk songs, you want to hear that guts, that passion.
Yeah. As a 16, 17-year-old kid who liked ska, I could deal with the fact that it's just ripping off other shit.
Sure.
But if I had heard this back then, the lack of passion from the lead singer is what would have killed it for me.
Oh yeah, that's what makes it not memorable.
Yeah, it is. Because the music's fine. But I assume that the lead singer also wrote the lyrics. They actually do list credits for every single fucking song in the notes. But it's just the same guys on every song. It's every guy on every song. So
Should I read these lyrics?
do it with a beat.
No, I can't. He can't even do it with the beat. There's
You
no
need to
way I
see the
can.
truth and the light. I know the way to the truth and the life. If you open your ears and shut your mouth. Okay.
Well, maybe. Do you want to just do it?
Unconscionable.
Jesus, that was loud.
Oh wow.
I could hear that. Yeah, that was really loud. Okay.
Our alarms are going off.
Jesus is mad because we're bagging on his ska boys.
Yeah. Wow. All right, I'm gonna read them, Clifton. It's not
Go.
gonna. I'm just gonna do my best. All right. You need to see the truth and the light. I know the way to truth and life. If you'll open your ears and shut your mouth, I can show you where to go fill the void. If you know the Lord my God, you need the way to truth and life. God, it's like worse when I read it that way, isn't it? Jesus Christ. Wow. Okay, sorry. Anyway, here's your chorus, everybody. Jesus is the only way. He's the only truth and life. To a joy beyond compare. Open your eyes and open your heart. Only he can fill your empty heart. Only he can make you whole. I see the way you're living life. Think you've got it made. Sex, drugs, rock and roll will get you through the day. Control your own destinies, so your psychics say. They don't tell you when you die the price you're going to pay. Money in the bank, big house and car. When there's trouble, go to a bar. Tell yourself right from wrong. Live your life away. No one else to answer to. There is another way. Do I have to read the chorus again?
No, it's actually a little... No, it's different at the end. No, it's not. It's fine.
Whew. Okay.
So obviously I think we have to start with, but just by pointing out, the third line is, open your ears and shut your mouth.
Shut your goddamn mouth. I know what's best for you, you piece of shit. It's that Christian exceptionalism.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
That's
this
one
guy
of the things
knows
going
what's
on there.
right. Everyone else needs to shut up. But can we just read those first two lines one more time? I'll read it one more time.
Oh.
You need to see the truth and light. I know the way to truth and life. Oh my God. Like a 9-year-old could write better than that.
Yes.
Jesus Christ, that's bad.
That's why I said barely literate. Because, like, I don't know. When you read a book, a thing writers don't do is repeat the same words in the next sentence.
Yes.
Unless it's specifically for a reason. Like, come on, guys. Like, this is bad. And it's all the same very patent youth group talking points.
Yes.
Yes.
There's a hole inside you. Only God can fill it with his sweet, sweet, sticky God stuff. You need what we're selling because everything else will leave you in a void. You know,
I called it buzzwords Mad Libs.
absolutely, yeah. He has a dig at, I think he said psychic, but I'm sure what he's trying, it seems like what he's trying to say is, that's like a rejection of like going to a therapist.
Yeah.
You know, he just couldn't fit the word psychiatrist in the song.
Also, maybe in the 90s, people just thought that they were the same thing. You know, like Christians in the 90s thought they were the same thing. Like therapist, psychic, whatever. You'd someone that you whine to about your past. And
I
your
actually
future.
wonder if that's the case on this one.
And your old fashioned Christian standby of how would you know what the right thing to do is if you didn't have a book that told you? Like, you must be morally bankrupt if you don't have a Bronze Age manual to live your life.
Yeah. Yeah, which is in the third verse, money in the bank, big house and car. When there's trouble, go to a bar. Tell yourself right from wrong. Life your way. No one else to answer to. There is another way. Because we all know that life is better only if you have someone else to answer to.
And it's usually the guy that says he knows what's best for everybody, but doesn't actually say the stuff that's in the book he's talking about. Yeah.
Yep.
And you know who the people are who tell you that life is better? If the other people who tell you that life is better, if you have someone else to answer to, the people who can't handle their own shit.
Absolutely.
It's not just offensive caricatures, it's low-hanging fruit caricatures. It is youth group. It's not youth group. It is fucking fit like it that little that summer that you went to, like my church did this, between children's church and youth group, you know, where they're like, welcome to being almost an adult. Let me tell you some things. It's that level of caricature of non-Christians, right?
Vacation Bible School, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, you're right. All right. Anything else about this song?
It's not good. Like, the chorus is
It's
not
not
good. Jesus is the only way. He's the only way to truth and life, to a joy beyond compare. Why is joy beyond compare after you could kind of fiddle way and truth and life in, like, to sound sort of similar?
Yeah.
Beyond compare just doesn't fit there.
Oh, no. The rhyme is... When I was typing this up, I was trying to figure out the rhyme scheme, and I just gave up almost immediately.
And you're kind of having to go an extra step to fit syllables into beats. You know, you're going to have to, like, I have to use like 3/4 notes to say one word. You know what I mean? Or like do triplet myself into fitting the word,
Yeah.
you know.
To joy be on compare.
Yeah. And it's just not, I don't know, it's just not good.
And I know what I made for myself is, this doesn't sound like someone who's met God. It sounds like someone who's been taught a script. You know, it's just... It is apologetics version of Christianity.
This is the guy that watches the How to Defeat an Atheist in 5 Questions YouTube video.
All right. Are we bored with that one yet?
Yeah, I think we should jump to song number 3, Testimony. We're going to speed it up a little bit here.
Yeah. This is the ballsy one, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
All right. Once again, you know, the guitar distortion sounds like it's coming from a practice amp that comes free with the guitar that you buy at the upscale Target in White Suburbia. You know, it's energetic. It's fine here at the beginning until, of course, the vocalist comes in and he's boring as fuck.
Yeah. The intro, again, is really strong.
Yeah.
And then it just goes straight downhill. Just becomes flavorless again.
Because of the vocalist.
Yeah. The horns are at the same level of just intensity. Like, where's your dynamic range? You can
I wonder
do
if that's
different.
I wonder if that's a them problem, or if it was like whoever recorded this album was just like, yeah, keep it going. Yep.
Oh, maybe. You know
Just
what I learned is that to record horns very, very well, you need like ribbon microphones because it'll give you like better tones.
Yeah.
And maybe they just didn't know that. Maybe the people they work with never recorded horns before or something.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of like, you're missing the higher end of the horn stuff is just kind of lost to the compression, I guess.
Just shoving an SM58 right into the bell and saying, "Yep, that's good enough."
Sure. I feel like
Yeah, once again, it feels like Paint by Numbers third wave ska, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've done the distorted guitar thing. We've got the horns being dot 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 dot. You know, what else could you want?
And this is what I was talking about. Like, specific songs on this record feel derivative of specific other bands in the scene. Like, the first song had a very Real Big Fish sort of feel to it.
Mhm.
This one gives me like Suicide Machines vibes. Because that intro is very Circle Pity. Like, you could see a bunch of kids like getting amped up in the Circle Pit, like jumping around. That would be a fun time, right? But like the specific way he's doing the vocals, like smashing it all out really, really fast, it gave me some Suicide Machine vibes. There's another song on this record that sounds very, very, very much like a Buck-O-Nine song, which is like, okay, who's even listening to Buck-O-Nine at this point to be derivative of that band?
A band that calls themselves Buck.
Oh my God. You're gonna be derivative Buck 09, call your band Buck, but then not rip off the Toasters? Like, come on.
All right.
They don't have enough freaking street cred to be ripping off the Toasters.
But yeah, as you mentioned, the only character really in his vocals here is that he says them kind of fast.
Get up on the stage and tell us how you feel. Tell us how you used to lie still. Came in your life and turned it all around. Now your feet are on solid ground. Had a broken heart from a broken home. Spent her whole life thinking she was alone. Came in her life and now she's born again. She's free from all her sin. Then they turn to look at me.
Everything dies, right? Because he has no character in the way that he delivers his vocals. When you cut it down to just bass, guitar, drums, and vocals, you have nothing. Because the guitar is doing the ska guitar part, and so you're not getting any character out of it, really, except for the funness of the you know. The bass player is not really good enough to do continuous walking bass lines on this album, I don't think. He's more of a punk bass player, which is fine. But, once again, your vocalist fucking sucks. So, that's not fine.
So, after listening to way too many episodes of your show, it's kind of, I feel like you guys need like a Christian music checklist. Like, are we going to hit certain beats?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Right here we have the anonymous Christian she.
Yeah.
We always have to shame
Oh my
women
God!
for some
Yes,
reason.
yes.
There's always an anonymous lady that needs shaming.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because women can't have any agency or something, or Christians.
Unless it's lying,
women.
cheating, and stealing.
Yeah.
Or being a
a trollop.
you know, yeah,
I don't know
exactly.
Right.
word.
Temptation.
There you go.
Tempters.
There you go.
They're a
temptress.
stumbling block for their brothers in Christ.
Yes.
How dare they? Oh, it's so gross. There's like, people don't need corrected like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, we've never made a bingo card, but it would be kind of funny.
It's a good idea. We should work on that.
That's your job, Jay. So we had, the upbeats on the verse, so I guess that means we're gonna go into distorted guitar now.
I thinking she was alone. Came in her life and now she's born again. She's free from all her sin. Then they turn to look at me. Just what exactly has he done for me? So tell me what's the story. Now let's change your life. What made you turn around and leave this world and act in what is I just see a midnight vision. Teach me the your trees. Deep on sky and never got your name and for you underneath. Never let the thing, never kill a man. Haven't to do much.
And Zach, maybe I should ask you about this because I know you big ska fan. I do not like them singing over the horns in the chorus. Like, I find it really distracting. I'm having a hard time paying attention to either one because of it. And also, Clifton's right. The vocals are not great. They don't have a lot of passion, and it's just not catchy enough to care. But the horn part is like, it's not great right there, but it's also probably more interesting than the vocals. And I don't know. Is this so normal in choruses singing over the horns like this?
Not as much as the better bands, the bands that stand out most and have the most longevity, know when to pick their spots
Yes.
Yeah.
to put the horns in. Like,
Right.
you can have some really nice melodic horn stuff going on underneath the vocals.
Right.
Maybe this is a mixing issue. Maybe it is that the guy is so unbelievably bland and bad at writing that like his stuff gets lost because the horns are so melodic. But like, part of knowing what is impactful is being reserved sometimes. Discretion is the better part of valor, and that applies to ska horns too, right? Like,
Absolutely.
And this is the song that I had the note to, like, there's just too much horns. There's too much. You
Yeah.
don't need that, the little bit at the very end of the chorus, that da, 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 da. You don't need that. Lay out a little.
I was gonna say that's the one part of the horns that actually almost works for me, because they're doing counter beats,
Sure.
where the horns are on one beat and his vocals on the other beat, but he's so fucking bland at delivering his vocals that you can't tell that.
Sure.
And in the hands of a good vocalist, it could have worked.
Yeah.
But he's so mush-mouthed and running everything together that it doesn't come off correctly.
Hmm.
A perfect example, I feel like, are you guys familiar with the band Gorilla Biscuits at all?
No.
They're like a New York hardcore, like youth crew type of band. the way that Civ does his vocals, the man is so expressive that you could hear his voice like shattering itself as he's singing these specific songs. Like he pushes so hard that there's like a squeal almost where his vocal cords can't like hold on to how much air he's pushing through them. And I feel like if this dude was over here busting his ass to shout at the top of his freaking lungs, he would actually meet those horns right in the middle, and it would be like a sweet spot.
Yeah.
It might not be the end of the chorus, but there is a point in here. It's just like, okay, we don't need this. I think it might be during the verses there's a horn part that's just like, it's just too busy. There's such a thing as too busy.
Let's listen to the next verse because it's in the verse part too.
Never read a thing, never kill a man. Haven't been through much, you couldn't understand. But he's rhythm me just like he used to you. I decided to accept this truth. Then he gave me grace, and then he gave me hope. Best of all, he gave me an eternal home. Took away my hurt and took away my pain. If you ask him, he can do the same. Just call his name, he'll be your friend. I know he'll be there to the very end. So tell me what's the story.
There were almost dynamics in those horns there. Da 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 da.
Give him a nice build up. Come on,
Yeah.
let's go.
For half a second.
Almost. We're almost there.
I think that, and now I'm going to come off as a specific kind of asshole here. And I don't remember who it was, but the very first time I heard a band that was trying to sound like Belle and Sebastian, it sounded like a bad parody of Belle and Sebastian, because what they didn't understand is that you have to bury everything so that the listener has to go looking for the melodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Belle and Sebastian has pianos, and it has horns, and it has strings, and it has all kinds of stuff, right? But if you put it all forward, it's a fucking mess. The key is for it all to be in the background, and then for you to hear it all together as kind of just a blended thing, you know? Anyways, I do get that kind of feeling here.
Yeah, it's just like it's maybe not mixed properly.
Yeah, it could
And
be.
I feel like if they brought him forward just a little bit, it would either accentuate how bland he is, or
Yes.
it would just like let him stand out just a tiny bit more. Because he's not doing that work, so you probably, as the engineer, have to do that work for him.
Well, here, I can turn the
I don't
vocals
know
up.
much about like
I can turn just the vocals up.
Oh God.
You ready for this?
So tell me what's the story. Now let's change your life. What made you turn around and leave its world? They had to what inside you see and made not
Actually, this is a little better.
Deep speak the you do trees. Deep pot sky in heaven. Got a name and for you what you need. Although our stories may not be the same, we're also serving the same man.
That's good shit.
I like the shrieking horn part right there.
Me too. No, when I wrote Shrieking Horns there, it was as a
That's
compliment.
perfect right
Yeah.
there.
I like that. In fact,
Me too.
I do think the horns are the strongest part of this album. So yeah, a fan of that. There's a couple other places throughout the album that I'm a pretty big fan of the horn parts.
That specific spot hits really, really well. And that's
Yeah.
a great place to use your blast, you know? Like, you
Yeah.
have to pick your spots. And maybe if these guys are really, really young, you know, if they're not over the age of, like, 25, they're gonna be, I want to play my horn as loud as fucking possible and
Right.
bounce around on stage like a lunatic. Like, that's my whole purpose of being in this band.
Yeah,
And
like
it
drummers. They're loud and they're fast. They don't care about anything else.
Yeah. But, like, when that hits really, really well. And it's this huge soaring horn part with all this, like, that's peak stuff. I think it's
And-
really good.
And I think it also hits on kind of the underlying emotion of this song, which is kind of like oh no, it's my turn next. And like all eyes are going to be on me, and I'm nervous, and like, you know, like I don't know if any of you have ever had a panic attack, you know, the thing where like your ears start ringing kind of thing, you know, that's what I get out of that shrieking horns. And I'm like, this is working.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really great. That's good shit.
Yeah. But then there's the rest of it. Yeah. The last chorus here, though, I wrote almost grows some balls.
So tell me what's the story. Now let's change your life. What made you turn around and leave its world? The answer what inside you see and made no vision. Deep speak the you do trees. Deep pot sky in heaven. Got your name and for you what you need.
you had those horn or the vocals still up, and I
Yes,
thought that sounded better. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounded
really did.
better, but he's too mushmouth. You need someone who can but meet some fucking rhythms.
Or just not write so many goddamn words in each line and leave this
Yeah.
world and head towards his light like Jesus. Like,
Yes. That's why he's mushmouth.
oh,
Because he got to get his theology in there.
This is like a thing that you would have to be sort of like a skilled rapper to be
yeah.
able to hit these very specific beats, very specific intonations at specific times. And this is just a fucking Michigan guy. You know what I mean? Like, it's just-
Maybe he wrote it to kind of do the spitting thing that Supertones do, and the other people in the band were like, "You can't do that, man. You can't. You got to do something different." Lyrics,
Yeah.
I'll
You
read
wanna
them
read-
this time.
You gotta read them,
yeah.
Clifton?
Yeah,
I can read if somebody doesn't want to. If it
you'll read the next one.
hit me, okay. The
Get up.
reluctance that Jay was showing was like, oh my god. Let's give this
There's a
poor
reason
man
I
break.
jumped on the first one.
Yeah, I know. There's more. This is denser here. Okay. Get up on this stage and tell us how you feel. Tell about how you used to lie and steal. Came in your life. Okay. Came in your life, turned it all around. Now your feet are on solid ground. Had a broken heart from a broken home. Fuck you, first off. Fuck
Yeah.
your fucking privileged fucking white suburbia fucking bullshit. Okay. Spent her whole life thinking she was alone.
Yep.
Came in her life. Gotta stop saying that. Came in her life, now she's born again. She's free from all her sin. Then they turn to look at me. Just what exactly has he done for me? So tell me, what's your story? How has he changed your life? What made you turn around and leave this world and head towards his light? Did you see him in a vision? Did he speak to you through trees? Did he part the sky and heavens, call your name, and throw you on your knees? Never robbed a bank, never killed a man. Haven't been through much you couldn't understand. But he's real to me just like he is to you. I decided to accept his truths. Then he gave me grace. Then he gave me hope. Best of all, he gave me an eternal home. Took away my hurt, took away my pain. If you ask him, he can do the same. Just call his name and he'll be your friend. I know he'll be there till the very end. Although our stories may not be the same, we're all still serving the same name.
This album, I knew the lyrics were bad when you hear it in the song, but when we read them, they're actually worse.
Yeah.
I didn't know that could be possible.
Like the artistry, not just what he's saying.
Yeah.
I was joking before when I said Susian, but it is really he's playing on those doubles, those rhyming two lines, those
Yeah.
doublets really hard. Like, all right, bud.
Yeah. But sometimes he loses it and then comes back and there's just like one line that wasn't rhyme, but then the next two lines rhyme, and you're like, well, okay, the first and second line rhyme and the fourth and fifth line rhyme. Okay. Okay.
We got some boxes for your Christian music bingo here. We have unintentional sexual lyrics.
Yes.
He's going to throw us on his knees and come in our life. Oh my God. There's also like unearned struggle bait, like our perfect, like struggle-free teen experience is the same as someone who has struggled with addiction and social oppression. And
Did you guys you guys ever feel like this when you were in youth group there?
Oh man, I feel like it's like a spiritual placebo effect almost. You know, like all I have to do is go here and say these magic words and I feel better. But like
It's true.
we're not allowed to talk about self-actualization. We're not allowed to talk about meditation.
That's
Everything
correct.
has to be through the filter of it's all Jesus. No, like not confessing things, saying things of myself that I know I've done wrong or that I'm struggling with doesn't help me identify those things and figure out strategies to go forward. No, I have to have Jesus to
Right.
get through how much of a horrible trash person I have always been in my life.
Yes, there's definitely that. I think that's let's talk about that. Because when the answer has to be Jesus, then the answer is always nothing, right? Then you can't come up with a way to improve things. Then you can't come up with a way to be a better person. Then you can't come up with a way to fucking process your fucking trauma.
Right.
Because it's just give it to Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. Wait. Pray harder next time, I guess.
And also eliminates a certain amount of personal responsibility if you do
Yes.
things that harm other people.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I've asked for forgiveness. I've had my time in the public shaming chair on the church altar, and I have told everybody what I did, but that God has forgiven me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It really, I feel like this song is like all about the consensual public shaming that people put themselves through at church. Like, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to tell everybody how I have sinned in front of the entire church on the microphone and just like expose myself to everyone. Again, unintentionally sexual. But it's just, I don't know. This just seems like so, this is like church camp cry nights to me, the song.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
very true. It's interesting, though, because that's not quite what I got from the song. What I got from the song was that the first verse is kind of about how the church fetishizes trauma porn
Mhm.
out of testimony, right?
Sure.
Look how bad I used to be. Oh, I was horrible. Weren't I shameful? But Jesus saved me. And then the second verse is about, oh, I don't have a story to meet that. Like, I can't
Yep.
meet that drama, you know? So what is my story? And I definitely felt that when I was in youth group. You know, this, oh, it's my turn to tell my story next. And my story is, well, when I was young, I prayed the sinner's prayer and I just kind of try to have a quiet time and like I pray, you know, and I don't know.
This is Christian kid shame for not having a better testimony.
Yes.
Like, actually feeling ashamed of yourself because you weren't a bad enough sinner.
Yeah. But it is pointing it out.
But like, but
Yeah.
not in a like, oh, it's weird that we do that kind of thing. More
No.
just like, mine's not as bad, but I'm still a Christian too, guys.
Yeah. It's not addressing it, it's just pointing it out.
Yeah.
But then here's what I find really, really weird is that then read the chorus, because the chorus is, did you see him in a vision? Did he speak to you through trees? Did he part the sky and heavens, call your name and throw you on your knees? Those are all fucking high drama things, right? Like, if this song is supposed to be pointing out the absurdity of trauma and drama porn, then why is that the, hey, did this ever happen to you? These wonderful things that God does. Did God ever do that to you? You know, shouldn't it be balancing this more?
Right.
What is the point of this song?
I don't think that it's supposed to be a nose thumbing. I think that it's like he feels like this is completely acceptable,
Yeah.
and he's taking it at full face value instead of looking at it the way, you know, not saying, you know, everybody has to look everything the same, obviously, but like instead of looking and say, hey, this is kind of weird that I'm expected to bare my soul and be bereft of, you
Mhm.
know, weeping and crying because I've been such a sinner, and I literally just do what my mom and dad tell me, and I go to school and go home and sleep. And meanwhile, other people are struggling through addiction, and somehow that's their problem, that they've failed as people. Or, you know, I don't think he may have the tools to be able to confront, you know, in a way that a Five Iron Frenzy would have confronted this in this way. And they probably
Yeah.
did have a song about it. But like, you could see Reese Roper writing a song about saying, hey, you guys are kind of ridiculous, like peer pressuring all these kids into like crying in front of a stage and telling everybody their horrible shit that happened to them in public. Like, that's probably not cool.
And as if it was their fault a lot of times,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
And like, was the shining through the trees thing, is that him trying to talk about the burning bush?
I assume so.
He had to make it rhyme.
Yeah.
Right.
I assume it's not talking about, you know, the only other thing that literally comes to mind, isn't there a philosophy that talks about the light through the tree? Or is that just an Andy? I remember. I think Annie Diller talks about that in one of her books. Like, just anyways, there's something about a light through a tree type of thing, but I don't think it's Christian.
Or like maybe the idea is that despite not having, because obviously one of these is like Paul's road to Damascus moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe despite the fact of having the entire idea of the song is like, even if I don't have this, like I'm still valid. But like I think it might just be that surface level.
No, that is definitely what it is. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And there's not any, you can't scratch the surface and find any other
No.
texture to it.
They call out a problem, and then they say, "But I'm also fine." And they didn't say, "But this is a real problem that we should maybe address."
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good observation. All right. Do we want to move on?
Let's do it. We're jumping to the next song.
The
Number
ballsy
4.
one.
Why won't Josh dance?
Is this the ballsy one?
This is the unconscionable garbage that is swing revival that never should have been released on the human population.
All right. Good intro. You know, that is a distillation of every swing revival song that was popular up to this point, I think.
Yep.
Because they're not, again, replicating something instead of making their own something.
And they did it well.
I guess. Hey, can you do swing revival well? Is that a thing?
It's executed well.
Ugh.
Like, the guitar did the thing correctly, you know? The horns had sound coming out of them, you know?
Truly, we have found the nadir of skill and effort.
Yeah,
That's a
I
low
mean,
bar.
look, hey, we're talking about Christian music, you know? Like, we've heard things done so poorly that you can question whether to call them music or not. So,
Carmen's
yes, that is...
entire catalog.
Yeah, okay. All right. But guess what happens next? The vocalist comes in. And does he ruin it? I'm taking odds. Does he ruin it? Anyone? $5.
Yes.
Can you ruin something that is already inherently flawed this badly?
It's small town club, all the people are there. Yeah, everybody's dancing like they just don't care. Deluxe tone rock is really moving the crowd, kicking and screaming and playing it loud. Girls start to dance, guys are moving around, skanking and swimming to that swinging sound. The whole place is jumping except for one guy. He's leaning on the speaker with his hand to the side, stamping his fingers and
I think, I'm going to be brave and say this, okay? This is where, he can pull off the swing thing better than he can pull off the ska punk thing.
Yep. That would be safe
right.
to say.
Yeah. This is where, if he wants to be in a band, he can be in a swing band or a country band, but he should not be in anything adjacent to punk rock or maybe even rock.
Yeah.
stamping his fingers and tapping with his feet. Gotta be crazy not to move to that beat. Standing with his hands in the pockets of his pants. You probably wouldn't budge if you give him a chance. Why won't Josh dance?
When they needed strength, they had almost everyone but him scream. You notice that he's like missing from that scream there at the end?
And did you notice how he had that line, tapping his toes and dancing to the beat? Like, anybody else, maybe not anybody, but somebody better than him would have hit that really, really
Yeah.
hard.
Tapping his toes and dancing to the beat.
And he
Something
would have,
that.
prolonged the
Yes.
note. He would have been strong, but
Mhm.
he kind of falls off at the end of the line. Tap it to the beat. Instead of belt it, dude. Let it go. It's a swing song. You just gotta like, put some guts into it.
But you can almost hear his voice give out.
Yeah.
It's not just that he's lets it go. His voice gives out. Anyways.
I do like the background there, vocals, that why won't
Yeah.
Josh dance?
Mhm.
And I like kind of how it builds to that
Yeah.
at the end of the chorus. I'll just go ahead and say it. Up to this point, I actually think this is the best song. that we've
Agreed.
done.
Because these guys are better at ripping off swing dance than they are ripping off whatever the hell they were doing before. There's another verse and chorus that we don't need to listen to because they're the exact same.
Because it's the same shit.
Yep.
But
But
Josh doesn't want to dance because Swing Revival is trash.
Yeah.
oh, come on. There's like everyone loves 2 swing songs.
Well, let me bring the mood down a little bit. What is the big Swing Revival song you think of that's at the top of your mind when you think of Swing Revival?
That Cherry Pop and Daddy song, whatever it was.
Zoot Suit Riot.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what a Zoot Suit Riot is? It's an atrocity committed by the American government on Chicano people because
Right.
Nice.
they listened to different music and wore different clothing because we had such a monoculture that men wearing baggy suits and having wallet chains or pocket watch chains or whatever it was necessitated the American government arresting, beating, and killing Chicano people in Los Angeles. And
And
that's a big fun
what's-
party swing song. Your entire shit is predicated. Oh,
What's more American than that?
Well, true.
they make it like they make that song specifically like a fun party bop. Throw back a bottle of beer. It's like, okay, well, a lot of people got either killed or hurt in this whole thing.
Yeah.
And whatever. Maybe Josh doesn't want to dance because he's just an arms crossed at the back of the pit guy.
Yeah.
There's those
Yeah.
guys.
Which
Why are we shaming Josh?
I think is where the lyrics end. But all right, there is a not very bad bridge here, honestly, with some dueling horns.
Why won't Josh dance?
I thought the kind of dueling horns and then with the cornet coming in at the end, I thought that was really good. There was probably some mixing issues with it, But one of the things I really liked about it is in the background you kind of have a lot of like ruckus kind of vocals type stuff,
Mm-hmm.
voices. I thought that worked really well.
I'm looking at Zach's face.
It's the same thing. Like,
Yeah, it's the same thing. They're ripping everybody off.
yeah. And ripping off swing music is even worse because it's all the same stuff.
Uh-huh.
Like
That's why you can do it so easily.
one of the indictments against ska music is that it is a little samey sometimes. And honestly, if we're being honest, there is a little bit of sameness here. We hear some of the same things over and over again. But swing music is swing music, and it's one very, very specific thing.
Yeah.
And it's just yeah. Like
But here's the thing. Wait.
Ugh.
But swing music is the same is samey because it's the same thing as like it's the same it's the samey for the same reason like EDM is samey. Because the point isn't to be original. The point is to be on the fucking dance floor moving.
I guess. You know how frustrating it would be to be at a ska punk show and then suddenly that one asshole who knows how to swing dance with his girlfriend just wants to like do like spin kicks and dangerously fling his girlfriend around at high speeds, and you're like terrified she's gonna get dropped on her head and die.
And you throw those people out like any respectable ska punk, kid would, yeah.
No, you'd be nice to everybody unless they're a Nazi, and then you throw them out.
You're telling me the swing people aren't Nazis.
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. I have never met a person that enjoys swing music or swing revival. So
2 songs.
Is that a person? Are those people? Does that happen? Does anybody like this?
I think there's entire bands around it, like the W's. We haven't even done their album yet.
Oh, the W's are the worst.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Oh, God.
Sounds like we got to do that one soon.
No.
All right. Lyrics. Zach, it's your turn. You're getting stuck with these ones.
You stuck me with the goddamn swing revivals.
Yeah.
All right. It's a small town club, and all the people are there. Everybody's dancing like they just don't care. Deluxe tone rockets really moving the crowd. Kicking and screaming and playing it loud. Girls start to dance. Guys are moving around. Skanking and swinging to that...
Nope.
Swimming. Skanking and swimming to that swinging sound. The whole place is jumping except for one guy. He's leaning on the speaker with his hands to his side. Snapping his fingers and tapping with his feet. Gotta be crazy not to move to that beat. Standing with his hands in the pockets of his pants. He probably won't budge if you give him the chance. Why won't Josh dance? Maybe he's asleep and he just can't tell. Maybe he knows how bad dancers smell. Maybe his shoes are glued down to the ground. Maybe he's deaf and he can't hear the sound.
Hey, this is really like Dr. Seuss. Sorry. Just
I'm leaning real hard there, bud. He doesn't really move, but he's having fun. He likes to stand and watch until the music's done. Unintentional sexual lyrics that don't even apply to Jesus. Acting like a goof just isn't his style. He'll keep standing still and keep flashing that smile.
Real go the fuck to bed vibes there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good night, Moon. Good night, Josh. Good night, speakers. Good night, nice, non-racist skinhead. Good night, bad skinheads that we all have to like push out of the venue. Good night, weird swing dancing couple that always shows up out of nowhere.
Yeah, you know, it's a song, I guess. I think the second verse is mildly humorous.
Yes. Well, what's with the smell? Like, dancers don't inherently have an odor. You know, like some people struggle with, glandular problems. Maybe some people smell a little bit. Everything is shame with Christians. Even
Yes.
fun fucking
Bodies
swing
are
song.
shameful.
You disgusting, sweaty piece of shit. I was like, oh my God.
We've literally covered a song about that before.
Being sweaty.
Yeah.
There's a song on this record about please don't judge me because I'm a suburban punk kid. And it's like, well, too late, bud. Like the shoe goes on the other foot. And shit rolls downhill. You're judging everybody. People are gonna fuck you in your chain wallet and your fucking dickies.
Yeah. I don't know. I think my problem with that song is just the forced goofiness. You know, aren't we goofy?
Yeah. How fun? How great? Whatever.
Yeah.
I did find it interesting they mentioned the Deluxe Tone Rockets, who
Yes.
put out an album on Tooth and Nail, but not until the next year, I realized when I looked back. So I know they're all from the same area, I think Michigan somewhere, so I'm sure they just played together, but I thought that call out was kind of interesting. But think you guys said the W's. I was thinking about it. I was like, I actually think just in my memory, I haven't listened to the W's in 20 plus years, but I was like, I think this song is actually better than the W's, though.
Yeah, I haven't heard the W's in 20 years either. There's no way you could pay me to listen to that record.
But to be fair, these guys only had to take one shot at a swing song, where the W's had to figure out how to fill a whole album with them.
You're right. Okay, that's true.
These guys got to shoot their load all in one song.
Sure. Man,
Are we bored with this song yet?
how lame.
Yeah, anything else you want to say?
Leave Josh alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let Josh do his Josh thing, man. He's just fucking leave people alone.
I think that is where it kind of ended, though. Maybe acting like a goof just ain't his style. He'll keep standing still and keep flashing that smile.
Sure. Maybe
That's just
Josh is
Josh.
like the tough guy at all the hardcore shows who just stands there and like glowers at everybody. You could tell he really, really likes the band that's playing, but he can't show it because he's too fucking tough.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump to the next one we're covering, which is song number 6, Samaritan. I think this was maybe a single because there is a music video for this song.
Wait, there's a music video? I missed that?
I sent it to you in
Yeah,
the
you sent
thing,
it.
Clifton. Come on,
I
man.
was busy this week, y'all.
It's got the marching band in it. Yeah.
Cool.
They're also acting out the scenarios in the song, but like right in front of the school. It's very kind of low
It's
budget.
so lame, dude.
You're not missing a lot.
That's
Also,
funny
I think
because
the
I
video.
think in my notes I refer to it as a mission trip sketch, like a
Yeah,
mission trip
exactly.
drama
It's exactly
sketch.
like that. Yeah.
Okay. Is this the ballsy one?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. You're the one who said there's a ballsy one.
I didn't say ballsy. I
Edgy?
said one with a distinct voice, and it is not this song. What this song does is it scratches an itch in ska music, like not every, but it's a big theme that's a lot of bands will write songs about a beatdown. It's kind of a common trope in ska songs that there's going to be somebody getting their ass whooped. And this is a song about an ass whooping.
And they wrapped it up in the Good Samaritan. Okay.
I think this is the one that sounded like a Buck-O-Nine song to me.
Okay.
I don't remember. I have to hear it again.
Let's say that because it was kind of boring. I didn't take a lot of notes about it.
There was a man.
I feel like that so far is a little it's kind of old school ska. It's not, it's not necessarily third wave ska going on there.
Yeah, it's like it's got a nice like sort of gritty urban feeling to it.
Mhm.
You feel like you could play that over like a 40s noir detective movie, and it would seem like the guy's walking through the alley about to get coshed on the head or something.
Yeah.
I love that specific type of sound. There's a bunch of bands that do it way, way, way better than this. But
Yeah.
like that specific sort of like something's about to go off type of ska, like with the real reserved horns. And here we go. We got our first dynamic shift in the whole fucking record. They're not destroying me with horn blast. I'm
Yeah, I
getting
kinda-
like actual reserved like musicality from the horns.
And I kind of like the understated, palm muted lead guitar there. I like that. It worked.
There was a man walking down the street, bet your tire shoes, and then he got beat. They took his wallet, shoes, and shirt, left him face down in the dirt, broke his leg and smashed his nose, and even broke his wee little toes. Stripped him bare and left him there, just sitting in his underwear. Would you leave?
He's so boring.
Yeah.
Just
Flavorless. Passionless. There's nothing
How
here.
do you-
Like, give
how
me
did he
some
not become a
feeling.
cop? Sorry, what'd you say?
What'd you say?
I said, how did he not become a cop?
It's probably an insurance adjuster or like a risk assessment analysis.
You're gonna find out at
analyst or
the
something.
end. Yeah.
Something super, super just boring.
This is one of two people I know about where they are now.
Oh, okay, good.
I know. This is the lead singer, yeah. Okay. And we kind of go straight in here to a chorus, not a pre-chorus. I want to note, not a pre-chorus.
Sitting in his underwear. Would you leave him or would you hop in? Don't be scared of showing you care. When you see the hurt, hold out your hand. Show compassion to what you don't know. Just because they're different than you. Show the same love just as Jesus did. Just as Jesus did.
Like at the beginning of the chorus, I felt like he almost had some, what's the guy from Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, who's now an anti-vaxxer.
Dickie Barrett.
Yeah, he almost had some gruffness there, and then he completely surrendered it to honkiness, maybe, is the word I'm looking for.
It just feels like he won't settle on. Because there's a line there when he says the thing about his wee little toes.
Yeah.
First of all, you can come up with something better than wee little toes, pal. And, like, but like you have to fit the phonetics of the word "we" in there. So it sounds like, you know, if you would have changed it to "sweet little toes," we could have checked another box off on our unintentional sexual lyrics thing.
I feel like "Wee Little Toes" is still, you know, is still pretty provocative as far as foot fetish goes.
And this is another one that the chorus does not stick the landing at all.
No,
I should want to sing along
because of his vocals. But that's also another problem of just him trying to force too many words into a slot.
Mm-hmm.
But then he gives it no rhythm, no texture, you know. And so why would you sing along with it?
The first two lines just are not good together. Would you leave him or would you help him? Don't be scared of showing you care.
Yep.
But there's just something about it that's just the slightest bit off.
Yeah.
If you would have stuck the landing just a little more, it would have.
But to me, that part right there has that's where the kind of gruffness almost comes in. Let's listen to it again.
Would you leave him or would you help him? Don't be scared of showing you care. When you see the hurt, hold out your hand. Show compassion to what you don't know. Just because they're different than you.
Okay, if we stop right there, he knows that he's not going to rhyme. He's really rhyming, would you leave him or would you help him? Don't be scared of showing you care. He's kind of rhyming those. And if he'd gone with that with some gruffness, like, would you leave him or would you help him? Don't be scared to show you care, kind of thing, you know? But he doesn't commit to it, and then he falls off into this right here.
Than you. Show the same love just as Jesus did. Just as Jesus did.
I don't know what to say about that.
If there is a time to rhyme hand with something that is very, very rhymes with hand, it's now. You know, when you see the hurt, hold out your hand. Show compassion to ones you don't know. If there's a time to make a bad rhyme, it's then in your chorus, when you need people to be able to grab onto it. Instead of like, I feel like he's set a precedent through the whole rest of this record of Dr. Seuss rhymes, where like this one that doesn't have a resolution feels like what happened? Where'd we go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then what becomes the only kind of semi-catchy part in the entire chorus is, just as Jesus did. And then he says it twice, and it's not, I don't know, it grates against me. That's how I'll say it.
And if you're trying to actually be part of a scene, having just like Jesus did as like your big hook on your chorus, nobody in your bunch of shitty teenage punk rockers want to yell just like Jesus did. Like this? Not appealing.
And not only because it's just not subtle enough for non-Christians, because it's not subtle enough for Christians. You know, like it's too on the nose for Christians. All right, we get it, man. Come on. We've read this story before. Okay,
but they don't get it though.
That's true.
They really don't.
It's true. All right. There is a bridge here where something very weird happens.
This is great stuff too. That's good shit.
Is this a cello? I'm gonna pause. Why is there a cello?
Because that's cool. It's something different.
You have horns.
I'm with Zach though. I kind of like it. I wasn't expecting it. I'm kind of into it.
Based on what you've heard, Clifton, this entire record, do you think those horn players could do that?
No.
They needed that cello.
Yeah, they would be a lot fucking louder.
Could you imagine though if those trombones came in? Yeah. If those trombones came in super low and like warm with all that nice mid trombone tone and just like built up doing that part.
Yeah.
Come on, son.
Trivia fact for you: the cello player there is actually Matt Slocum of Sixpence None the Richer.
Okay.
So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, guitarist
Fun
in
fact.
Sixpence.
Was this recorded in Nashville?
I'm guessing so. It's got
Yeah.
the PFR guys. It had to
Exactly,
have
yeah.
been. Yeah.
There's Nashville fingerprints all over it, yeah.
Yeah.
The bridge continues on. I think, and maybe I'm reading too much into this, I think maybe that the point of the bridge is like, oh, you know, where it's in the calm, you know, like something bad has happened. And then the horns come in and it's like, what? Oh no, like this is really bad. What is going to happen here? Someone needs, like, if someone doesn't help this guy, he's going to die. Am I reading too much into that?
Possibly.
Because nowhere else in the song do I feel like they're building a feeling. Really, nowhere else in the album.
This could have been helped by instrumentation too. Like if you weren't just working with 2 trumpet players and 2 trombone players, if you had tenor sax, you could have really got this with the trombone guys with a nice warm build up to the sound. And like maybe that's the decision point. Or like, oh, look at this. This dude is bleeding to death in this alley. It is up to me to help him.
Yeah.
You know? But like, I love that bit. Like this, again, it's one of the very, very few places on this record that shows us any kind of texture at all. They're doing something different. They're doing something that might be their own.
Oh, okay. You're not wrong about that. You're right.
With something as samey and bland as this record, you gotta grab onto something. You know?
True.
Grab the calf by its ears. Okay.
I feel like this could have been helped. Like, if you have this real slow, nice build-up, what if this whole time you had this reserved song, right? The whole song is very reserved compared to everything else on the record.
Yeah.
What if at the end of that bridge and the end of that build-up, that's when you hit your driving guitar high-speed circle pit part?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for this part.
Carry that out to the end of the song and then end the song very sharply. You just build all this up so the crowd knows this anticipation. They can feel it building and feel it building. And people who've been to see you before can understand that's what's coming up in the song. And then, like, you really hit it. Just, you know?
That would have taken nuance and thought. Which is not what we're getting here. Instead, we're going to get this cringy mess.
Last came the punk rock kid with a piercing in his eyelid. He got down on his knees while the man said, "Help me, please." The punk took him home for some care while the others weren't even fair. The punk kid showed his love just like Jesus showed his love for us.
We're not listening to the chorus again.
You guys want me to just dive in and read these?
Do we need to read them?
Oh, no. I mean, if you want to skip it,
Your
great.
4th grade reading level lyrics. Come
It's
on,
the
dude.
fucking Good Samaritan, except for instead of reinterpreting it, they just recast it with a modern day businessman and some guy and a priest. And then the guy who comes and say, read the last one.
Last came the punk rock kid with a piercing in his eyelid. He got down on his knees while the man said, "Help me, please." The punk took him home for some care while the others weren't even fair. The punk kid showed his love just like Jesus shows his love for us. His lyrics are so bad.
If you are doing lyrical gymnastics enough to make kid and eyelid rhyme, when you full well know you cannot pierce your eyelid, you pierce your eyebrow or the bridge of your nose, right? If you're having an eye piercing. He knows this because he's apparently in the scene, I guess. If you're doing that much work to rhyme those 2 words together, to have like a completely logic inconsistency there, why can't you have the last two lines of the verse rhyme? Showed his love just like Jesus showed his love for us. You're not only being redundant, you're also just like not sticking the fucking landing again.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating. It's actually very frustrating now that I'm reading it.
And on top of how badly it's pulled off, it just feels like it's the youth pastor who turns the chair around and is like, let me get real with you. The punk rock kid, he's probably the one, right? It's probably the punk rock kid, right? He's probably the one that got and helped the kid. Like, you guys get that, right? You get it, yeah.
You know who else had piercings? Jesus Christ.
God, yes, I'm shocked. Yeah, probably a fucking sticker they had or something. Jesus.
Oh, my God. Oh, I'm sure there was one of these fucking lamos. That was probably some fucking patch or sticker that somebody sold at Cornerstone.
Yep.
But like, what? I don't know. Honestly, he's not wrong. You're gonna get a lot more, solidarity and caring and empathy in like punk scenes than you are from a lot of the people walking around on the street, especially probably, unfortunately, religious people.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Let's talk about this, right? We can have this very simple story. We can have this very thing. Like, this is what Jesus said, right? He said we need to be empathetic. We need to help the least among us. How much do you want to bet that at least one or two of these guys is in some church that preaches empathy is a sin now, or fucking Jesus is too woke, or something?
Yeah, all that new shit. Yeah, the sin of empathy. What
oh my fucking God.
Fuck.
It's part of the fucking Bible. Like, he says it, right? Like,
he talks about it more than anything. If you take Jesus' words themselves, he talks about it more than anything else.
Yep. And like, okay, cool. This is great. Let's teach people to care for each other. Let's teach people to have solidarity. Like, that's the best part. And that's, I feel like, why a lot of people that grow up from the church and grow out of the church are seeing the sort of rejection of these things that are foundational to the Bible, that literally are in the red words that you're supposed to care about the most. Mm-hmm. And now, like, we're just not supposed to feed kids at school, or like not have public programs be available for people, because that's not what government is supposed to do, y'all. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus wants you to bootstrap yourself right up to heaven. Yeah, okay.
Just like Jesus said.
It's like, what the fuck? I don't know. Is your... I just saw your note on this next song that just says, fuck me.
Well, let's jump to it. Song number 10 next. And Zach, I'm guessing this is the one that you said was, Clifton wants to say ballsy, but those are not your words.
Yeah, I would not say
voice.
Ballsy, but it's distinct. It's the only thing that's really, really distinct on the record.
Because it's the opposite of ballsy. It's the least ballsy thing on the album.
But like, one of my favorite sweet spots is when you have the horns doing very long, like sort of legato things over top. Oh, okay. I love that type of shit. That's just me. But the chorus of the song is an abomination.
And I also want to point out before we get into it, is this a different singer? Because I swear to God, the vocals sound fairly different to me on this one. I don't know. Maybe it's just where I was when I was listening to it. But
maybe it's just the first song they recorded, and it's the one where he's the least confident stepping up to a microphone.
Well, this credits like 10 different people helping write this song. The lyrics are definitely different. So, like, something's going on with this one.
Huh. Okay. I called this the copyright infringement version of the What Would Jesus Do song.
Okay.
So we get kind of a swingy kind of ska guitar and hornsy thing going in here.
I've been thinking about the games I play and how he gave himself away and what that means to me. I've been dreaming about the way he loved and the way he suffered for a wounded world that won't believe. Sometimes I'm ashamed of
It may be a different vocalist because from what I get from this vocalist is more like, the real clean, buttoned up version of like Eve 6 or Three Doors Down or something like that from the 90s, like that's what it feels like to me.
Okay.
Just that smooth vocals, the smooth.
Right. It has always got more of that. Yeah.
Maybe fits his sweet spot more.
Maybe.
Because he's not having to try to compete with the volume. Maybe he's so bland that he needs a song that is low key to be able to like do his best at. I don't know. It does almost sound like a different guy, yeah.
Maybe he's a crooner. We don't know. Let's see if he proved himself here.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm ashamed about the things I say and the things I see me do, and now they seem so far removed. Sometimes I hang my head like the Walking Dead when I dare to ask myself, what would Jesus really do? He is alive in us. Jesus loves the hurting ones.
What
That's
the
the-
fuck?
That's the pre-chorus.
Yeah.
Yes. I heard that and I was just like, what is going on here?
I swear to God, there was a guitar in there that was like da 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 wah! And someone was like, "Get rid of that guitar!
No.
Get him out of here!"
Me too. Listen, that's what I wrote. I was like, this sounds like they purposefully tamped it down
Yes.
on this song, especially in the chorus. And I'm like, why? Especially when you get to the real chorus in just a second. It's got
Yes.
some nice background vocal. Like, it should be punchy, and it's
But
just
it's
like they were
not.
like, no, too much.
And it almost has like an indie rock feel to it. It's got that like weird 90s sort of like I don't know what band to kind of reference, but it has that feel, especially with that little bit of background vocals at the very end where they have the harmony. It feels like what band? It's just there's some whatever indie band from the 90s that has like a I don't want to say like Blind Melon, but like dude, this just it's evocative to me of like 90s alternative rather than being in a
Yes.
specific subgenre, like
I agree with
90s
that.
alternative pop rock.
That's what I'm
instead of-
saying. It's the buttoned up version of Three Doors Down. All right, I scooted back a little bit here, so we're gonna hear the pre-chorus again.
He is alive in us. Jesus loves the hurting ones. Reaching hands out to the helpless, fill the pockets of the poor. Giving mercy to the sinner, forgiving a little more. Touching those untouchable, healing a leper sore. Loving those unlovable. Oh, what's love good for?
Oh, that horn line right there, that whole bit at the beginning of the verse is just, that's a sweet spot for me. That makes my whole body just relax. It's so
But
nice.
yeah, but why was the chorus not that? Why was the chorus a easy listening version of 90s alternative music? You know, like
Or what you do, because your verse is so reserved, you let your chorus go. You like bring the guitars up so there's more
Yo,
distortion. Speed
yes.
it up a little more.
That's what
Let
we're
the
saying,
horns do the same horn part, but like add more and more layers to the what's next, so it sounds like a hardcore group vocals shout.
Yeah.
Like go for it. Like fucking
Yeah.
take the brakes off and then come back to that nice subdued bit.
yeah.
It's just like again and again and again, they're just not sticking the landing.
I'm gonna be a little controversial here, okay? This fails to land in the same way that Hey Mercedes fails to hit anything for me compared to Braid. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Braid has angular dynamic guitars, and Hey Mercedes has smushy guitars with pretty vocals.
Hey Mercedes is a perfect call out for this, because that is, oh my god, that's absolutely perfect. Because I can
And it's
hear
the
that
same-
dude's voice. It's like,
Because it's the same
why
kind of
don't you-
harmonizing too.
Put some effort into it. You sound like you're half asleep.
This, like, I mean, I'm not going to take too much offense. I like Hey Mercedes. I mean, I like Braid more, but I still like Hey Mercedes. But this feels like, and I'm going by the 10 names I saw in this at the beginning, it almost feels like maybe they got in the studio and they were kind of like, this is the first song they did. And they did all this work on it and they like did all these effects on the chorus. And then they were like, oh, fuck, we've got like 9 more songs to do and we only have like 2 more days in the studio. And so then they were just like, shit, let's go. We'll go with your first idea for the rest of the songs. I don't know. This chorus sounds like almost like a different song. Like it's just,
Yes.
I don't know what the fuck they're doing here.
Or a different band.
Yeah.
Or they were in the studio and someone was like, we wrote a What Would Jesus Do song and we don't have the copyright, trademark, whatever it is for What Would Jesus Do. We're going to change a little bit of the lyrics and you can have it.
Yeah, maybe that's a good point too. It's not their song.
I think this is supposed to be provocative, but it ends up just being word salad.
Oh, what's love good for? Love is what is, love is what's next. Love is what is, love is next. Love is what is, love is what's next. Love is, love is, love is what's reaching hands out to the helpless, fill the pockets of the poor, giving mercy to the sinner, giving a little more, touching those untouchable, healing the leper sore, loving those unlovable, reaching hands out to the helpless, fill the pockets of the poor, giving mercy to the sinner, giving a little more, touching those untouchable, healing the leper sore, loving those unlovable. Oh, what's love good for?
That's got very 90s alternative rock.
Did they give you anybody like Audio Adrenaline kind of vibes?
A little bit.
Because they're
That
recording
acoustic part?
in Nashville and someone just gave them this song.
Maybe.
What's that? Like, I smell sex and candy. I don't know. It's got those kind of vibes, like that, like mid 90s alternative. I don't know.
All right, so let's look up some of these people. Mark Bird.
He was in, I'm pretty sure, Common Children, that band that's
Well, that makes a lot of
around
sense.
at the time. Yeah. I don't know who the hell some of these other people are. Well, some are in the band, Dan Reynolds.
Sure, but it's the first ones here. Hampton
Taliaferro or something.
Taliaferro. He has his own stuff here.
Common Children. There we go. So this
is just a Common Children song that they were given and they ran with because they only had 9 songs and a cover of a very bad short cover of what's it called?
Is it Amazing Grace?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But another thing, though, is they've had a couple of demos before this, and I looked back, and a lot of the demo
have
songs
so
are not
many
on
songs.
this.
Yeah.
So they had enough songs.
And like I said, they were giving out, like around the same time that this album came out, they were giving out like full-length demo cassettes that had different songs than the CD.
Okay, I'm going to add 2 more things that help us understand this mystery. One, this comes out on Tattoo Records, which is a division of Benson Records, which is like one of the biggest just Christian music labels. So it's like Sandy Patty, Larnell Harris, For Him, 3 Crosses, Clifton, that we covered, was
Nice.
on Benson. So this is that kind of stuff. They probably have no idea what to do with a ska band. And y'all, as we were working on this, on one of the Discog pages, it lists their old website. So I went on Archive and found the band's website, literally as we were doing this episode. And I'm going to tell you,
Okay.
they have bio pages for each band member. And for Dan Reynolds, can I read you a few of his favorites?
Please.
His favorite actor, Mel Gibson.
Oh,
Fuck.
God.
Favorite movie, I bet you
Die
can guess.
Hard.
Braveheart.
So close.
Favorite actress, Sandra Bullock. But here's what I really want you to know. Favorite bands. First one is Johnny Respect, which, okay, they're
Okay.
local, probably played with them. Another favorite listed in there is a band called Telegraph that I had to look up, but was a local ska band from the area. However, and he put this in his profile proudly, I don't think ironic, the other two favorites of
Dave
him,
Matthews.
Stephen Curtis Chapman
Jesus.
and Big Tent Revival. So I feel like I had a lot of questions answered there.
Yeah. Because when you jump on a trend, you bring no passion to it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And this is actually something that was brought up in this Buck thing right here. Anyone know what this CD is?
The Reddit thread. Yeah.
Yeah, the Reddit thread, yeah. Where they talk about an interview with Reese from Five Iron Frenzy, talking about how when people just jump on a trend, they bring no passion to it, and so they deliver subpar bullshit, you know, and that's what this is. Maybe someone in the band likes ska, but not the lead singer, and that's bad because he's your audience's first connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we need to read these lyrics?
Oof. Yeah, they're bad. I'll read them. Lately, I've been thinking about the games I play and how he gave himself away. And what he means to me. Lately, I've been dreaming about the way he loved and the way he suffered for a wounded world that won't believe. I don't know where the rhymes are. Sometimes I'm ashamed about the things I say and the things I see me do, and how they seem so far removed. Sometimes I hang my head like the Walking Dead when I dare to ask myself, what would Jesus really do? He is alive in us. Jesus loves the hurting ones. What's next? Reaching hands out to the helpless, fill pockets for the poor. What's next? Give mercy to the sinner, forgive a little more. What's next? Touching those untouchable, healing the leper's sore. What's next? Loving those unlovable. Or what is love good for? I've come to understand that we are his hands, his goodness and his light to the hopeless and the despised. Now I've come to realize that the love of Christ is so much more than words. We are a living sacrifice. He is alive in us. Jesus loves the hurting ones. Love is what's next. What is love is next. All right. So what's weird about this is it's right. Like, that is Jesus's message. But they deliver it in what I wrote here was empty calories. They deliver it in this empty calorie way, right? It's just gross in the sense that it is correct and they sing it with some passion, kind of. I think maybe more passion than the other song, honestly, from the vocalist. But this is the thing that you don't ever see lived out in Christianity.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, it's not next. It's never, because
Yeah. My other note was if Christians are Jesus's hands, why ain't Jesus got no hands?
oh my god, dude. And like touching those untouchable, healing the leper's sore, filling the pockets for the poor. Oh, no, we don't do that. You know what I mean? Like that's not what that really means.
Yeah.
Well, why not? You radical fucking leftist thinking that anybody should be able to have housing, or, you know, democratizing and like widely distributing healthcare for people to make it accessible for everyone.
Not just that, but Christians will say, well, that's what the church is for. The church is supposed to be the one doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I shit you not. I was in my church one time as a homeless man. It was like the middle of summer. This is, I think, towards the end of high school for me. Middle of summer, blazing hot outside, obviously, in Texas. And a homeless man walks in and asks for water. He's just sweating. And the pastor is standing there in the offices, and he looks at the secretary and says, Get him out of here.
Wow.
It's that kind of shit.
The fuck?
Yeah.
So sobering.
Because, if we help one people, then everyone's just going to come knocking on our door.
That's the point, though. Like, that's
Yeah.
the whole point of the whole thing. We're supposed to be decent humans. That's what the guy was talking about. Like,
But then
come on.
how will there be money left to buy a Mercedes-Benz for the pastor?
He's got to have a Rolex.
Yeah.
Gross, dude. Why is it next, though? That's my question. If the name of the song is What's Next?
I think it's kind of playing on like, okay, I'm saved now. What's next?
Oh, so like I have completed my checklist of now I am a Christian, so
Yeah.
I need to go forth and help the others.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
That's what I took. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, no, I like that as much as anything, I don't know. It just it's so but this is still the song on the record that has the most personality of its own to me.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Like I think this and Testimony really like you could talk about Why Won't Josh Dance, but it's like another genre.
Right.
Yeah, no,
But like
it's bullshit.
this specifically and Testimony seem to have their own kind of feel to it. And this one very, very much is distinctive over any other song on the whole record.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
why it caught me more than any other song. But like it's still just they don't stick the landing. There's just something missing. And that like that little weird acoustic part in the middle is just
Yeah,
so gross.
It becomes a mess because they try to keep it a ska song when it's not a ska song.
It's transcended that at that point.
Yeah.
So don't put that in there. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I said, we can have that build up. We can have like Jesus loves the hurting ones, and then you just hit it. Like go for it.
Yeah.
Have like so many layers on that what's next that it just sounds like a riot. You know what I mean? Like
Maybe this is their song and they brought it into the studio and the people in Nashville were like, you ever thought about making this a real song?
you ever think about wearing flannel instead of
Right.
checkered
Exactly.
Vans?
What did you guys think of the album cover?
I mean, it's bad enough that I'd never picked this up back in the day because
Yeah.
mainly I saw the album cover and was like, nope.
Yeah, it just looks
Same.
stupid. Like what is that? Is that Dick Tracy?
That's what a lot of people thought it was Dick Tracy on the Reddit thread. Yeah.
But also, like, his mouth, they just moved his mouth over.
To the
like,
side.
to the
yeah.
left.
Yeah.
And then, like, what is that in the background? It's like buildings with, like,
But for some reason, there's like, it's a street crossing, but for some reason, there's water.
people are walking on the
But-
water.
Yeah.
There's, like,
And also, there's a palm tree here.
on the sidewalk.
Are they from Michigan?
And is that like sand in the back, or is that a road? You'd think a road.
Maybe they're
would
doing
have,
construction back here on the road back here. I don't know.
what the hell?
This really is, like, that bad AI art. Because,
Yeah.
like, AI art, when you start looking closer, you're like, oh, wait a minute. None of this
Yeah.
makes any sense. This is exactly like that.
And then you start looking at the windows, and like the mullions are in different places in all the windows, and like some of them just don't have mullions for some reason,
Yeah.
even though they're right next to the ones who do.
Is he supposed to be dunking that sphere behind the word buck like a basketball?
I think maybe he grabbed onto the sphere, and then all of a sudden it like connected to his hand, and it took him flying, and that's why he looks so surprised.
That's his oh shit face. Oh
Yeah.
god!
Because now he's flying through the air above these people that are walking on water. And he's like, "What the hell?"
He's just losing his tripping the fuck out. I don't know. It just is a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah,
It's not good. If I were to see that, because I'm pretty sure I had heard the name of the band, and like it was with the other bands, like that had a ska punk sort of sound.
Well, if you just saw the
And if you
CD
saw
at
this-
first,
yeah,
you're like,
that's
"Oh,
fine.
yeah." So the CD is literally just that thing that he grabbed onto, but the word "buck" is across it,
Sure.
and so it's just like a spherized, whatever checkerboard, right?
Mhm.
Looks
That'll
pretty
tell
cool.
you that's a ska punk band. Like
It's ska
you
punk.
look at that, that's what you think. That is.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you scroll up and you're like, Aryan ska punk.
Oh my god, it's so bad. And why are they're in marching band uniforms at some point?
Yeah.
That guy in the back looks like he's 45. This dude looks like he's like,
Is that the lead singer? No.
I think that's him in the front. Yeah, because he's a
Oh, yeah.
trombone player as well.
So here he has a goatee, but here he doesn't have a goatee.
No, you're looking at two
Oh,
different.
it's this
guys.
guy.
Yeah, that guy. That guy looks old.
That guy looks old as shit. He's like Kevin from the Backstreet Boys. He's like 35, and everybody else is 26.
Yeah. So this is the lead singer right here next to the bass guy.
I think it's the trombone guy,
Yeah, I
This
think he's
guy.
one of these two.
the blonde haired
Aryan.
dude.
I think he
Okay.
might be that one, yeah.
Anyways,
But it's almost like he's not distinct at all, so he just gets lost in the fucking background
yeah.
because he just looks like somebody's Ken doll that they left out in the sun too long.
I was watching the last episode of the first season of Andor today,
Mhm.
and it kept flashing between, I guess, different white fascist looking guys, and I was like, I don't know. I've lost track of which white fascist looking guy is the white fascist looking guy, you know? Like, I think there's 3 of them, but I don't really know. And that's how I feel about the people in the CD.
They all look the same. It's like watching a B movie from the 1950s.
Yes.
Who is this man? Is this our main character? No, that's the villain. I can't tell anyone apart.
Yep.
Also, the gross appropriation of the checkers thing when there's not one single person of color in this band is
Yeah.
mild. It's pretty offensive if you understand what the symbology of the checkers.
But
They didn't.
They did not,
They're
of course.
just checkers because ska, right?
But also, once again, to be fair, they had probably no access to understand that.
That's true.
Sure.
I mean, we didn't either. Yeah, that's true.
Right.
But
But they're playing in a band, presumably in Michigan. So there's
You're not
enough
wrong.
bands in Michigan that'll tell you, like Jay Navarro from Suicide Machines.
Yeah.
He is the nicest man that has ever walked the face of the planet, and he will tell you anything. Like, he knows the history of this stuff. He knows everything inside and out. Like, he's a decent human, and he will like
Yeah.
help you. He'll be your ska punk granddad. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. They're in the air. I guess Michigan's a very large state, so maybe they're in the Upper Peninsula. They're a bunch of Yoopers. We didn't hear their accent though.
They're
That
not
would've
from the
been
Upper
fair.
Peninsula.
no, it's like
They're
a suburb
from-
of Detroit. I looked it
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
Oh, that's even fucking worse.
yeah.
Yes, it is worse. Yeah.
Like, go to the squat downtown and like meet like the real punks, and they'll tell you the actual history of the shit.
Yeah, you're right.
Ugh.
As who figured this out first? It does say that there's like QuickTime or something like
Yeah,
there's
could you
something
get to
on
work,
this.
Clifton?
No, so I couldn't find anything on this CD. It says it's an HD CD, which like there's high definition something, and there's also like some stuff on it, extra stuff on it, but I couldn't get it to work. I couldn't find anything but the songs on the CD. So
Bummer.
yeah,
It didn't say anything in the liner notes about it or at all. Because usually, if they do, don't they say check out the extra features on it? You know, blah blah blah.
I got to be honest with you, I did not go searching through these liner notes for things I didn't have to look for.
Oh, Clifton, come on. Why not?
Not my
There's a-
job on this one.
There's a picture in this CD book and these liner notes where these absolute fucking heathens are standing on a couch with their shoes on.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you supposed to be edgy? Because you're like every bit of me, even as a fucking shitty punk rock kid that stole CDs from the youth group CD book, looking at you like, you don't fucking put your shoes on the couch, you Philistine. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? That's not acceptable. That's not even edgy. Like, get off the couch with those boots. Look
I
up.
mean, maybe it
Makes
was like
me
a couch they
sick.
found on the side of the street or something like that, you know? So they're like, hey, we can use this before it goes to the dump.
I guess. I don't know. It's probably the couch in the recording studio, and
It
somebody
probably
has
is the
to
couch in the
sleep
recording
there.
studio. Yeah. That was actually my first thought, but I was trying to help him out a little bit. Well, all right. Anything else we want to talk about this? Recording quality, I think overall is good.
Yeah.
Better than it should have been, probably.
Although I'm not sure whoever recorded it understood like how to
Ska.
do ska. Yeah.
No, definitely not. One of the things I thought about while we did this
Oh,
is okay, if you're going to put Christian ska into like one of those tier brackets, you know, and like the Supertones, Five Iron Frenzy, and the Insiders were like the A tier, okay? Are these guys in the B tier? Because if so, the B tier falls off so fucking fast.
I feel like Frito Boat should not be anywhere near the B tier.
Yeah.
Like, that's
I'm with
F
you.
tier type of shit.
I'm
Frito Boat barely counts as ska.
fuck. I forgot about Skedaddles. God damn. I'm looking at all these ones you got listed.
Oh, we're
Clifton.
gonna do Skedaddles pretty soon, by the way.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, of the ones that we're gonna do on this list, here's the list of bands I don't have in the tiers. Okay, Tasty Snacks, 180, Big Dog Small Fence. I heard of all those. I actually listened to Big Dog Small Fence. We're gonna do them pretty soon. Okay. B&B All Stars, never heard of. Do you know who that is?
Nope.
Okay, you know who Tasty Snacks is?
Yes.
Okay. Seeker's Planet, never heard of them. Nifty Tom 50, never heard
I
of
feel
them.
like I've heard of them. Is that one of those like Betty Rocket or one of those label bands?
Maybe so,
Something
I
like
don't know.
that. Or what the fuck would Tasty Snacks on? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Tasty Snacks was on Boot Ahead, right?
No, it was on the smaller one.
Oh,
That put out a shit ton of stuff. It wasn't Betty Rocket. I want to say Betty Rocket. It's not Betty Rocket. It's the
No.
other one.
same one as Officer Negative.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever the fuck
Yeah.
that label was. Yeah.
Just can't think of it right now. Christafari,
Oh God.
Jesus Christ. Dime Store Heist,
Not
never heard of
that
them.
one.
Skedaddles, we are absolutely going to do the first Skedaddles album, by
Yep.
the way. Hook, Line, and Sinker,
Nope.
never heard of them. Sounds Like Chicken,
Never heard of them.
The Israelites, we're going to do one of their albums.
Okay.
Sounds of Salvation.
No
Never heard
idea.
of them. Yeah. The ones that I do have on the list, by the way, right now are Supertones, Five Iron Frenzy, and Insiders in the A tier. Frito, Boat, Buck, and Bob, Bunch of Believers in the B tier. Because, like, who goes in the B tier? Also, you'll notice that I didn't include
Dingies.
Dingies or Squad 5-0.
Okay.
Because I'm not sullying them with this list.
Is Squad 5-0 a ska band?
Yes. Ska Punk.
Oh, I did not even know
The
that.
first two albums were, yeah.
First two albums. Yes.
I heard people talk about them in youth group all the time, and it's just like, that does not sound like a band I would like.
By the time of that time, you are correct. They were kind of a anthem rock.
Yeah, I thought they were like rap rock or something like that.
No. But it was like anthem rock, like big guitars, kind of,
Lame.
Yeah. I'm putting some of Five Iron Frenzy in S tier.
Wait, what's S tier?
That's the top. That's the best.
Okay.
Best of the best. Okay.
I don't know. I think that Dingy's record is so good.
I'm not sullying them with this list.
Oh, but you're going to sully 5 Iron?
Okay. Look,
5 Iron should be above.
if we're going to do that, then Dingies and Squad 5-0 are going to be in the top, in the S tier. Okay.
Isn't the guitar player from Squad 5-0 like Blaster the Rocket Man's brother?
No.
That's not the same guy? I thought he said his brother played in...
He
Well,
did
okay.
for a little bit. Yeah.
Later on.
Yeah.
During the anthem rock phase. Okay. Which I do not think is Squad 5-0. But like, who do you put in the B tier if not these guys?
I feel like Frito Boat in B tier is very diplomatic.
Okay, but then who am I putting in the B tier?
I don't know,
just-
man. Like,
I don't know. We got to listen to the rest of those, man. Big Dog, Small Fence.
I heard
Skedaddles.
Big Dog Small Fence for the first time after I went on this Christian ska wormhole.
Yeah.
And I was actually very impressed with Big Dog Small Fence.
I think they're better. I agree. Yeah. I also think Skedaddles are kind of okay. I think Israelites are great.
I feel like
but-
the Israelites are probably A tier because they do
Yeah.
like trad ska,
But yeah, because they do trad ska. They don't do this other bullshit, Yeah.
And they do it very well.
Well, they're good. Yes. And like, it's not a trend for them, right? They're playing, they fucking love those songs.
Mm-hmm.
Like every song is distinct and musical and anyways. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't even know
Anyways.
half these bands.
Me
Yeah, I didn't
either.
either.
That's our problem too. And I think a lot of them came out kind of after ska was already really dead, But like, so what? Am I going to have like, what's going to be in B tier? It's not going to be Bob. If Frito Boat doesn't go in B tier, then fucking Bunch of Believers doesn't go in B tier.
Bob's terrible.
Is it just Big Dog Small Fence?
Bob is what? Mission Trip to Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, how embarrassing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Buck is reasonably B tier. I would say Big Dog Small Fence. Could be B. I was actually really impressed with their sound.
Me too.
I don't know, but like Frito Boat didn't barely even count as a ska band. They just had horns and some ska parts. It was weird.
My point was just, it's amazing how quickly the tears fall off so fast.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a Christian thing either. I think it
Well,
might be
true.
ska in general too.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point.
You don't think there's like really, really decent local ska bands?
Oh, there are. There are tons of really, really decent, great local ska bands.
That's my point.
But like, you get out of like the 5 bands people remember from the 90s, you got to go into bands that are playing now, which like are, there's not a tier list because people are producing excellent music now.
Yeah.
You know, there's some bands that are making brand new ska music right now that it's just like, yeah, why did we ever have to wait for this stuff? You know, like this is terrific.
Yeah. Okay. I did want to read this one post that I found, which I think sums up Christian ska so well, and really the Christian music industry. This is on that, I'll have a link to this in the show notes, a Reddit thread called I Didn't Know There Was Christian Ska. And the whole thread is from 4 years ago, okay? But then this person posted last year. And I'm going to read this. There's almost no capitalization once you get past the first line. I know this is an old post, but I'm loving the OC Supertones and the Insiders a lot. This is more my style of in music. Sorry, there's no rhyme or rhythm to the flow of this. I also love their songs and lyrics because they talk about God and Jesus in their music a lot and praise the Lord. Five Iron Frenzy, I have heard them before and downloaded some of their music and realized they don't talk about God or Jesus at all in their music. They are just another ska punk band like the Toasters or Op Ivy. And to me, this is not good. If you're going to be a Christian ska band, please praise the Lord with your music. So for that, I only listened to 2 bands out of 37,000 tracks. I have collected a lot of music over the years and deleted it all because it was keeping away from God. But the OC Supertones and the Insiders, these 2 bands are powerful and all I listen to, man, and I'm more closer to God every day. And yes, I may struggle, but I pour out my heart to God and ask him to fill my heart with the Holy Spirit. And he did, and I feel good, man. God is great and always praise him. Cheers.
Wow, at least there was some punctuation in there.
It's a little bit. Not enough.
I thought you editorialized the feel good man, but it's actually in the text. That's kind of
in
wild.
there.
I feel good, man.
But, like, here's the thing. Like, 20-year-old Clifton going through, like, not knowing what I was going through with my anxiety disorders feels very close to this person.
Great point.
Yeah. I think this person has a mental illness.
And poor media comprehension.
Well, yes, that is true.
Saying 5 Iron does not talk about Jesus is completely wild to me.
Yeah. Although, is there anything more conservative than poor media comprehension? Is there anything that just screams, I'm a conservative more than that?
Clifton, where are they now?
Okay. So, after this album, the lead singer left, and a couple other people left, I think, and they kind of they came back as Buck Enterprises because maybe they had to change their name because of copyright issues, but really there's like a fuck ton of bands called Buck, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways, who knows? In 2001, Dave Reynolds and Josh Wheeler from Buck started a new band called Out of Time with then Buck members Mark Falstrom and Bob Poole. And then the lead singer came back after a while, and then they made the last album, which is a praise and worship album. And then they broke up in 2003. No, they broke up in 2003, and then the lead singer came back, and then that's when anyways. Something like that. I don't know. It's very confusing. I'm trying to pull this together from fucking Reddit threads. That's the only place I can find information. Okay, and this is where I wrote, I'll lick a shoe if one of these guys didn't become a cop. Here's the 2 people I know about. Mark Falstrom is the chief executive officer of Oasis Lawn Care. We all know that lawn care companies have a hierarchical executive suite, and almost always have chief executive officers. Dan Reynolds went on to be so many different kinds of ministers. He's been a youth pastor and a minister and all kinds of things. I'll put an article where you can read like the 17 fucking different things he's done over the years, which is pretty hilarious. And then in 2019, he started working for something called Armory Youth Project in Manistee, Michigan, which is kind of up in northern Michigan, but on the southern peninsula. But it's the fifth largest town in northern Michigan with a population of 6,730 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He really
There you go.
expanded his horizons from all this
Yeah.
narrow Christian thinking.
Yeah. He didn't become a cop, which is really surprising, but there's still like 4 of them that we don't know what they did. So I'm not like in a shoe until I get confirmation that none of them are cops, because I think my odds are still pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, well,
All right, Zach, any final thoughts on this album?
There's so many better bands to listen to if you like this sort of thing that I would not even waste my time recommending this to somebody unless they wanted to have obscure, weird Christian ska. Because, somebody's got to be like, oh man, there's all these weird Christian ska bands. Recommend some. Like, oh, okay, if you really insist.
It's for the experience, not because it's good.
I guess so, but this is not.
Yeah.
This isn't it. There's
Yeah.
sparks of things. They certainly have, some stuff that stood out a little bit, but it was so few and far between. And we only talked about 5 songs out of whatever it was, 11 or 12.
The better 5 songs, honestly.
Yeah. And one of them was a facsimile of something that is, an actual dead genre. Like nobody plays swing. Like people just don't. It's not a thing.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. It's kind of frustrating because like when that intro hit at the very beginning of the record, I'm like, this might be really enjoyable.
Yeah.
right.
And then it became just, ugh. It was the same thing over and over and over again, doing
I agree.
other people's material.
I think that is a excellent summary. Do you have anything to add, Jay?
No, Zach did a
Good.
great job.
I agree. That was well said.
At the end of every Jesus Stole Our Movies episode, we always say, listen to more ska. Listen to more good ska. You know what I mean? Like, don't listen to this. This is Drek. Find the great bands that are playing music now that are really inspiring.
Yeah.
And there's tons of bands that are playing right now that are really, really good. You don't have to go back to the 90s to find trash music like this. I don't know. It was fun to talk about.
That's why we do it. We do it to look back and say, what the fuck happened to us?
Yeah. Oh,
Well, Zach,
That's good.
it's been fun. Thank you for joining us.
absolutely. Yeah, Zach.
Do you want to plug your podcast again?
Yeah, we are Jesus Stole Our Movies. We come out Thursdays. I believe every Thursday or every other Thursday. And we just talk about the movies we weren't allowed to watch as kids. And you guys are coming on to talk about
The Last
ungodly-
Temptation of Christ.
Oh my god. Donovan said you wanted to talk about Passion of the Christ.
No.
You want to talk about Last Temptation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'll take that over Passion.
Because I
I've
wasn't
never-
allowed to watch this as a kid.
Me neither. I
Really?
remember that was like really
Yeah.
seemed blasphemous. And
Yeah.
of course,
Cool.
then I became very interested. But I've
Yeah.
actually never seen it still.
Me either. So this is gonna be
Clifton and I have
fun.
to watch it beforehand. Yeah.
Oh, that's rad.
And
We'll
you-
have to set
you-
up a time.
You have to give us a date or else it just won't ever happen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I feel like we were. Donovan said something about the Passion. I'm like, I do not want to watch Passion.
No,
guys.
me
I have
either. No,
desire.
gross.
The Last Temptation of Christ sounds cool. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. We're going to
Hopefully I
find
can make
out.
butt jokes.
See how blasphemous it is.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on. This is a great amount of fun. I like to talk about the one thing that I know a little bit about.
Yeah, this was really fun. So, Clifton, what are we doing next time?
All right, we're going to listen to The first time we covered this band, I made a pitch that it's one of the best examples of it. They're one of the best examples of their genre. Christian or non-Christian.
It's a big claim, Clifton.
It is.
I mean, we just heard some not good example of ska. So,
So we are going to cover the first full-length album by Slick Shoes, Rusty.
okay.
Yeah, the first time like I said, the first episode we ever did was of their EP, which is only 4 songs. And I made a strong pitch for it, and that is our most listened to episode ever for some reason. I don't know if there's just a big Slick Shoes community out there or what.
Yeah, I don't know if somebody happened to share it somewhere and it got picked up because, it's weird. Like,
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But anyways, I've already been listening to it, and fuck, it's so good.
Okay. All right. So you think it holds up. We will see.
Yeah. I mean, I do have problems with it, but it's just so good still. Yeah. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Your Music Saved Us.
If you enjoyed your time with us, please leave us a review or share this episode. Visit patreon.com/YMSU to contribute and get extended episodes. Visit our website, yourmusicsavedus.com, to find out all the ways to listen. We're on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Join our Facebook group or follow us to keep up with the latest or interact with us. And send complaints and disagreements to yourmusicsavedus@gmail.com.
Or compliments. The music in this episode is the work of Buck and is used with apologies, not permission. I don't think you can buy this shit because it's a relic of the past.
Yeah, I don't even think it's on like on Bandcamp or anything.
No,
so,
leave it there, guys. Leave it in the past.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Bye, everybody.